Men do not show love by just marriage, and we don't show love by sex. A man can be having sex with his maid. He's not in love with the maid. We show love by providing, by protecting, by supporting. And that's what your wife does not want another woman to get. She does not want you spending the little naira you make on another woman. She's trying to protect that angle. But we need to make the argument. She wants you to be alive. In order to be alive, we need to avoid prostate. We need to avoid cardiovascular issues. Can she give you 21 times when she's in her 50s? Because it's not fair that how come we're losing men to prostate problem? Then I advocated get a side chick. Let me say that again. Get a side chick. You get a side chick is a contractual agreement. You don't have to disrespect your wife. You don't have to bring the side chick home. If it's contracted, she doesn't even call you. You call her when you need her to make up your 21 times. Polygamy is not for all men. If you know you cannot manage your affairs, if you know you cannot manage two jealous women all both caring for you, then stay in your lane. By the way, in the Western countries now, they're doing what is called polyamorous family. They're doing sister wives. 4 or 5 girls marrying the same man. Only one of them will be legally married, but they will bring somebody else. And it's acceptable. They're in Utah. They're in Washington, D.C. We are not complaining. That is a variant form of polygamy. So if you can manage, then do it. There is no solution out there to increase your manhood. Let me break it down.
No solution
whatsoever. There's no solution. There is no cream. There is no gel. There is no
agbo whatsoever.
No agbo.
Anything given to you is false.
No, it's false. Let's go down to physiology. A woman truly enjoys sex. It becomes love-making to her when she's able to release. She's able to orgasm. If she's not able to orgasm, most women have reported that they just feel like a dumb. So there is no physiologic reason, there is no scientific proof that anything is excessive ejaculation.
Seriously?
Absolutely. If a man ejaculates 4 to 7 times a month, that's an average of having sex once a week, he is going to develop the risk of prostate cancer at the rate of about 30%.
4 times a month?
4 times a month. That's once a week.
It's still very low.
It's still very low. They looked at people 4 to 7 times a month. It's very low. The cutoff is if you are able to ejaculate 21 times, then you reduce significantly your risk of prostate cancer.
How possible is that going to be for you to have sex continuously in a month 21 times?
I can tell you. So we see younger men now in their 30s, in their 40s, they've been married for 5 years and they're having problem consuming. What's the problem? Their wife is not getting pregnant. They go in, the woman has done all the tests. She's done HSG, her tubes are open and all that. What's the problem? The vagina is a pouch. It's a pouch of muscle. It can relax and contract. And there are different studies out there about how the woman keeps the place hygiene, because it's a place that has its own flora, meaning it has its own natural bacteria. These are not infectious bacteria, and they serve a particular purpose. If she's also the type that we say she don't get mileage, she's 20-year-old, but she don't get mileage like 40-year-old, that means she has been exposed a lot. But that pouch will not expand based on just penile penetration. You get the expansion from either when she had childbirth, the labor was prolonged. If the childbirth was a baby of diabetes and comes out with big head like my head, the thing will stretch. Some women will develop tears. All that may not have been taken care of. But if it's just penetrative sex, no, the body has a way of healing itself.
Even if you like go for 1,000
at all,
it doesn't go
beyond. The thing don't get meter.
It doesn't widen up.
In men's health, it's not the size of the dog; it's the size of the fight in the dog. That woman that is so wide, if she can give you position, the position will reduce the size. You will forget your own date of birth. You will not even remember your phone number. The one that is so tight, if she doesn't know how to do it, it will just be like, what am I here for? So it's not really the size. It's what you can do with what God has given you with. And there's no need to compete. You are competing with only yourself.
Welcome to another episode of Selahmeditate. I remain your host, Benzik, and on Selahmeditate to bring you high calibers of individuals to discuss topics that's going to challenge your perspectives and also inspire you and change your life ultimately. I have a very special personality here beside me who has dedicated his career to improving men's mental health and well-being. His wealth of knowledge has made him a sought-after voice globally on topics like fertility, sexual health, and also issues on healthcare. So today we have him here, so we're going to discuss some very critical issues on men's sexual health performance and then the healthcare system in Nigeria and everything that's going to help you when it comes to your health wise. But before I bring him in, I'm just going to take a moment to just read his brief profile like we often do with our first time guests. Dr. Abassi completed his graduate medical education at Yale University School of Medicine, specializing in internal medicine and earning a certificate in congestive heart failure. He currently serves as a clinical instructor of medicine at the University of Maryland School of Medicine in Baltimore. A prolific researcher, Dr. Abassi has authored numerous bench research papers in physiology and pharmacology beyond academia. He has played a pivotal role in healthcare policy and infrastructure development, serving as a subject matter expert to the Nigerian government. His contributions include capacity building, needs assessment, and strategic policy planning to improve healthcare access. He was instrumental in the establishment of the Nigerian National Primary Healthcare and Development Agency. Internationally, Dr. Abassi recently conducted a major audit for the CDC Atlanta PEPFAR program in Nigeria. He is also the Chief Medical Officer and founder of the Sisimi Medical Foundation, Inc., an organization dedicated to advancing healthcare initiatives. So guys, we'll do our best to bring you very important guests like this. And if it's your first time coming to the channel, do it to hit the subscribe button, like this video, and share it with those who this is going to impact. So guys, make welcome my highly special guest here, Dr. Rasheed Abassi.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to really have you here.
No, my pleasure.
It's a pleasure. It's really a great pleasure to have you here today. But in 3 minutes time, just describe Dr. Abassi and just give us a brief background story of you.
Yeah, so I'm a licensed physician in the DC, Maryland area. But prior to getting to the US, I was actually an engineer out of Unilag. And it was when I got to the US late 80s, early 90s that my career opportunities changed and I ventured into medicine. I actually did a lot of medical research, as you had alluded to, in physiology and pharmacology to actually understand how the human body functions. And eventually been lucky enough to be one of the Yale School of Medicine graduates. And currently I hold a faculty position at University of Maryland in Baltimore. And I still do clinical practice, so I'm focused dedicatedly on just men's health.
Interesting. Why did you focus dedicatedly on men's health?
For two reasons, besides the fact that I'm a man, yes. But years ago, I was actually a patient of a men's health clinic. And I realized the difficulties in terms of access for men. Traditionally, people always complain that men don't go to the doctors. That is true to some extent. But in order to alleviate all those issues, we need to provide opportunities and places where doctors can go, whether you're a man or not, but especially African men. And I realized the logistical problem then, and it comes with a lot of stigma.
What kind of stigma?
Okay, so first and foremost, when people hear men's health, they automatically assume bedroom issues. And yes, we don't need to shy away from that. Under that bedroom issues, we're going to talk about things like prostate. This day and age, for example, we're in Nigeria now. Nigeria is the most populous black nation. One of the maladies, the diseases that affect black men the most is prostate. And it shouldn't be. Yes, prostate is eventually going to affect most men the older you get, but it's easily treatable and we can also prevent it. So that's one of those things that, yes, black men are faced unfairly with large amount of prostate issues. And when you go to the clinic and you're talking about prostate, then you have to be mindful. It's going to affect your bedroom performance. So a lot of men are afraid to even venture into it. Their own notion is, hey, if I don't hear it, then it doesn't bother me. We need to, just break that myth that there's nothing like that. Then let's talk about what affects us mostly in West Africa. The likes of silent killer, high blood pressure. We consume a lot of salt. We live more sedentary lifestyle. So our activity level is gone down, and then we develop obesity. We have undue amount of high blood pressure, diabetes. All these things are killing us. And men don't want to go to the doctors because, the research tells us when you tell someone is hypertensive, he's already thinking the medication you're going to give me, how is it going to affect my erection? And that's a no-go area, especially for black men.
Now, are we in silent male fertility crisis, and why are men not talking about it?
Well, so it's a big umbrella. So we have to ask ourselves, what has transformed in our society? In the days of your grandparents and my grandparents, they were more physically active than we are now, even though we are more affluent than they are.
They are more physically active.
Back then.
Why did you say so?
They walk everywhere. You and I now, we get the driver, we take car, buses, we do all that. So yes, in a long shot, we live more sedentary lifestyle. Even though we're more affluent, we're perhaps more educated than our grandparents, but they were walking everywhere. My grandfather wants to come and visit your grandfather, he's going to walk. Your grandfather wants to come back, he's going to walk. Nowadays, you guys say we take boats, we fly, we do all that. That makes us less and less physically active. And guess what? Sitting is the new smoking. We sit more than our grandparents sit. They work before morning break, before 6, 7 a.m. They've gone to the farm maybe twice.
Yeah.
You and I know. You and I will sleep in a fully air-conditioned room. We drink processed food. We don't eat organic food. So those are the things. The chicken is coming home to roast. Even though we're more exposed, we're more affluent, but then we're more sedentary. We consume more chemicals than they did. The whole idea about mechanized farming, it came at a price. Yes, we can produce more food for the increasing world population, but at what price? We're giving each other chemicalized food. That chemical is affecting us. We see it clinically. We see a lot of resistant antibiotics now. Why? Because the chicken you and I are eating are chicken that have been processed with chemicals, antibiotics.
Seriously?
Yes, our grandparents were not exposed to such things. You and I do that. You probably have a microwave at home. What is it for? To rewarm processed food. Our grandparents were not doing that. They were eating freshly made food. They go to the gardens, they pick up their leaves. You and I don't consume all that. So these are the things that if you look at it on the micro level, it has become a macro. It's affecting us now.
Now, what do you think is the chief cause of infertility in men in this period?
So let me tell you what the data tells us. Like in my clinic now in West Africa in general, we're seeing younger and younger men coming in with low sperm count. And so we step back and say, what could be the genesis of this? What's the cause of all this? One of the things we found out is most West African states do not have access to pipe-borne water.
Pipe-borne water?
Which is the government-sponsored public water. Everybody now, mostly in Lagos, in Nigeria, they have borehole in their house.
Yes.
That borehole water is not treated. It's not treated. It may be pure because you can boil it and you reduce some of the germs. But what about the vitamins that it's supposed to be fortifying it with? If you were someone that grew up in the 60s or 70s, you have access to public water. Yes. You drink publicly on your way from school and all that. That water had calcium, had fluoride, had zinc.
Are you saying that water is better?
It is far more better.
Water we're drinking?
Absolutely.
How? Why?
Because it had all these nutrients, I'm telling you. Calcium, fluoride, zinc. Guess what? Your sperm is not going to move if it doesn't have enough zinc. So we see younger men now in their 30s, in their 40s. They've been married 4 or 5 years and they're having problem consuming. What's the problem? Their wife is not getting pregnant. They go in, the woman has done all the tests. She's done HSG, her tubes are open and all that. The man is coming to the table with low sperm count. And when you look, he may be producing 10, 20, 15 million at times, but the sperms are not moving. It's almost zinc deficient. And that is something we were not thinking about 30, 40 years ago because we were getting it for granted in our public water. There's no more public water now.
Okay, so is public water the major reason?
It's one of the causes. Okay. Then now we have to look at other environmental causes. Most of West African men are severely stressed. Let me give you an example. You live on the mainland, you work on the island. So that means you have to get home or you have to leave your house on the mainland to avoid all the 3-4 hour traffic. You have to be on the road by 4:35 in the morning. Yeah. And on your way coming back, to avoid the same thing, you stay later at work. So by sheer numbers, by the time you get home, you get back to mainland around 10 p.m. If you're the type that you're married, your wife is cooking for you at that time. And if you're a typical Nigerian, you're probably consuming some heavy food, some swallow. That cuts down on your blood flow. So your sleep, you're already sleep deprived. And part of what we realize with sleep physiology is you cannot make up sleep. So you cannot say, oh, Monday through Friday, I'm at work, I don't sleep well, so I'm going to catch up on weekend. No, the body doesn't work that way. Your sleep is measured on every 24-hour cycle. So when you are sleep deprived, internally, what does that cause? It tells your brain you're under stress. When you're under stress, your body releases a lot of bad chemicals. One of them is cortisol. What does cortisol do? It makes you burn your testosterone. You need testosterone for good erection. You need testosterone for good sperm production. Wow. So a lot of our young men, not only are they zinc deficient, their testosterone level is low. When your testosterone is low, guess what goes up? Estrogen. Estrogen is what promotes your obesity. So you see a lot of young men with women boobs, and yet they're having failure in the bedroom. These are all environmentally acquired.
Wow. So that's the second one. Is there another one again?
Absolutely. So with this now, it becomes a cumulative effect. Okay. You are not active sedentary-wise, you are not consuming the right food, and you are becoming obese. Obesity doesn't come alone. It's like 5 and 6. It comes with high cholesterol. It comes with hypertension. So these are cardiovascular killers. And again, we have to address the issue that your erection is a form of blood flow. Blood flow is under cardiovascular. Vascular is the blood vessel. Cardiac is your heart pumping. So you find out that you've gained weight over a short period of time. You are sleep deprived. You are constantly under stress. So you're going to find out you're not getting a morning erection. So you're already walking around with 3, 4, 5 cardiovascular risk factors. At the end of the day, if you are to choose, fertility will be secondary. Now you want to protect yourself. You want to worry about high blood pressure. So you're not going to have a sudden heart attack. You're not going to have a sudden stroke. Guess what? You're going to show up to my clinic. You may be forced to be put on a blood pressure medication. Most blood pressure medications come with the side effect of loss of erection.
Wow. So how can we improve all these things you're saying now?
Fantastic. So we always advocate, we want people to become educated listeners. Give them the equipment, because most men are known that if you give them the right set of facts, they're going to make the right changes. And the changes we're talking about, number one, let's be educated and let's change our lifestyle. Must you eat late at night? If so, do not consume swallow.
Does this include every age group?
Absolutely. Let me break it down to you. If you come to my house and we're just shooting breeze, 2 brothers, and you say, oh, Rasheed, I'm probably going to stay later today. Okay. If my wife prepares you swallow and we consume it by 9, 10, do you want to guess how many hours it will take that swallow to digest? It's minimum of 5 hours. And we're eating it at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. So that food is loaded in our stomach till 3 a.m. Do you think we're going to fall asleep easily? No, we're probably going to be snoring, but we're not enjoying that sleep because the brain is now faced with 2 decisions. Rasheed and his boy wants to sleep. Yeah, let them sleep. But they loaded their stomach, so all blood flow goes to the stomach. And what does the brain do? It's just going to convert all that to the easiest thing for it to do, which is fat. Because the brain needs to get all its energy back at that time. And that is why you see most people, after consuming every swallow, they fall asleep. Let's compare that to, let's say you and I said, no, we're making a good lifestyle choice. So we're going to eat something light. We're not even going to do the salad like the white people do. Let's just do something light. So you and I may make maybe pap, akara, something light. And then after we had that, let's say, let's just walk around like old time's sake. We do that, we end up coming back home. We're going to have the best sleep of our life because we've only consumed something light that will turn into water. Our brain is not faced with the choice of what do I do? No, your stomach is light. Even though you're full, you're going to have a good sound sleep. And when you get a good sound sleep, guess one of the things we notice? Good sound sleep means you're going to have erection in the morning. So if madam is next to you, your erection in the morning correlates that your testosterone is also good. You're going to fire.
But the challenge most people face is the fact that if you say we should not eat past 9 p.m. But people believe generally that when you are younger, your food digests faster. So, but you said it includes all age bracket. Does it mean even if you are 5 years, even if you are 10 years, even if you are 15 years, 20 years, whatever you eat takes all those the same amount of hours to digest by that time?
Absolutely. So we have to be mindful that what you become what you eat. So we need to start cultivating this habit at a younger age. Physiologically, somebody much older, 60, 70, their metabolism slows down. We know why. Because when you get to that age, you are not physically as active as you were when you were a teenager. We understand that. But don't take your teenage years for granted. Those times you are going to be burning a lot of testosterone if you continue to abuse your system by compounding a lot of swallow. Yes, you're going to break it down, but at what price? You are burning your fuel. The fuel in your body as a man is testosterone. So what we are advocating is eat healthy, pick white choices. So when you do that, you are reserving your testosterone for other parts of your body. Because testosterone is going to affect like 10, 11, 12 organs, not just your bedroom.
Wow.
It's good for your bone. It's good for your mental health. It's good for focus. Most importantly, it enhances blood flow.
So what kind of food do you encourage or do you think are the best for male fertility?
Number one, I always advocate look out for your organs. As 2 brothers as we're sitting, even though we may go in and they say, oh, you have low sperm count, you want to ask yourself, was it on a day you are stressed or not stressed? Because a lot of times we have the factory, the sperm is not there. When our ladies come to us and we start doing foreplay, your body goes into that rapid production. What does your factory need at that time? It needs all the raw materials. Make sure you drink enough water. No matter what, you are not going to overload yourself with water. And before anybody asks you, how much water do I need to drink? Look at your urine. If your urine is clear and your urine doesn't form any bubbles, you are well hydrated. When you are well hydrated, if you go to the other room with your wife, you're going to make a lot of volume for your semen. That's one thing. Avoid sedentary lifestyle. Yes, the sugary stuff and all that is there, but if you are active, you can probably burn all those. And then the rule of thumb now for us is avoid white food. Not a racial comment. White bread is not as good as brown bread.
Okay.
Wheat bread is a lot better. Brown rice is better than white rice. And if you're going to do all this, do them in moderation. Because these are food that causes hyperglycemia. It makes your sugar go up, so you're going to feel full, and the next 20, 30 minutes, you're going to be hungry again. So your caloric intake is something you should be mindful of.
Okay.
So in a nutshell, a lot of African foods are good if we eat them in moderation and we eat them timely. Okay. And again, let's increase our physical activity.
So moderation and timeliness.
Yes.
Now, there's some challenge we have currently in this country. You know, based on the country we're in, Nigeria, there's lots of hardship and all of that. So most people are hungry. Yes. And then maybe when someone has gone hungry for a whole day, hasn't seen food, and managed to see one load of fiber that is given to that person, I'm going to tell the person, just eat small. And the person is not even assured of tomorrow. Most people believe that all you need to do is just load your stomach because you are not even assured of your tomorrow or your next meal, just so that you can be able to have something within you for all those periods. So what do you say?
No, that's a good point, and we need to be mindful, to be very sensitive to the environment we're in. Yes, it's really tough for lots of people. Yes. And what you are alluding to is the rampant poverty. And when you now talk to someone who's not sure, someone who is like 010, he only eats once a day. Yes. You are telling him to just consume a little. That's where the dicey choice comes into play. But let me give you an alternative. Dalai Lama once said, it's either you eat your food as medicine or your medicine as your food. Let me say that again. It's either you eat your food as medicine or your medicine becomes your food.
Wow.
So you're giving me an example of someone who is struggling. The whole issue is to condition ourselves. Let me give you the premise. There is nowhere in physiology that says you and I must eat 3 times a day. No, there's no way in physiology.
Seriously?
Honestly. We're the only creatures that think we must eat 3 times. No.
Where did it come from?
That is it. This is just the mindset of, access and, being able to afford it. There are some people in Nigeria, they can afford it, but they only eat once a day. And they've been able to condition their body that way. And in order to avoid the future cardiovascular problem, the metabolic syndrome, let's be mindful of what our choices are. So if I'm in the shoes of that 18, 19, 20-something-year-old boy who finds himself in the unfortunate situation, I'll probably not be eating my eba that late. He has to survive, and health is wealth. So his health should be the priority.
People talk about when you stay hungry, maybe ulcer and things like that. Does hunger causes ulcer and things like that?
Yeah, so that came from a physiologic fact. The physiologic fact is when you and I go for a long period of time and not eat, your stomach starts producing acid in anticipation that once you get the sense hunger, you're going to eat. But if you don't eat, that acid sits in your stomach. Okay. By the way, that acid is more corrosive than bleach.
Wow.
And when it sits in your stomach and there is no food to digest it, guess what? It starts digesting the stomach walls. Wow. That's where the word ulcer. Ulcer comes from the word ulceration, meaning a break in that muscle, in that structure. So that's where it comes. So what I advocate to people is not all the time that you feel the hunger that you must eat full load. Snack a little bit, drink a little bit of water, and guess what? That hunger sensation decreases and your body gets conditioned to it. Because your body is a machine, you can program it to how much energy you give it.
Now you've advocated concerning men's sexual performance a lot. So what do you think is the major cause of prostate cancer?
Good. So far, physiology and research has not shown us the exact thing that is causing it. However, we've seen signs. One of the signs that is notorious, and people may have heard about it, is a theory called stagnation theory. Stagnation means like the prostate is a gland. For some reason, as you age and as you and I continue to wear this system down, it acquires or is attracted to some toxins. It needs to flush that toxin out. So stagnation theory says that men must ejaculate a lot to reduce the toxin and thereby reduce their risk of prostate cancer. And the study was well done. It was actually done by, female researchers.
Deeply done and confirmed.
Confirmed, blinded and all that. And the view was that if a man ejaculates 4 to 7 times a month, that's an average of having sex once a week, he is going to develop the risk of prostate cancer at a rate of about 30%.
4 times a month.
4 times a month. That's once a week.
It's still very low.
It's still very low. They looked at people 4 to 7 times a month. It's very low. The cutoff is if you are able to ejaculate 21 times, then you reduce significantly your risk of prostate cancer. And that is from the theory of stagnation, that if you flush, There's nothing sitting there. There's nothing that will stagnate within the gland. Because we know that one of the problems is if you don't use it, you lose it. The only form of exercise your prostate gland gets and might get is erection. And if you get erection when you are sexually active. So if for religious reason, for cultural reason, or because of lack of finances and you are not getting it done, then your prostate starts swelling. Remember, your body runs on testosterone. Testosterone is food for prostate. Testosterone gets converted to a chemical called DHT, dihydroxytestosterone. That is what makes the prostate gland swell. But if you exercise in it, the prostate gland will not become horrible. You exercise it, it flushes itself out, then it will be lean.
They said excess ejaculation causes low sperm counts. So we are now saying 21 times. So how do we balance both of them?
So there is no physiologic reason, there is no scientific proof that anything is excessive ejaculation.
Seriously?
Absolutely. So this is the way it works. We recommend in men's health that men should shy away from just sex and start thinking of love making. And this is for both parties. A woman will enjoy you more if you invest time in love making. You consider her. See, under men's health, men act like microwave. You see a woman you like, I see a woman I like, my body goes 0 to 60. That same woman, if she likes you, you still have to play with her for her to get in the mood. So women are like oven, men are like microwave. And if you've ever used the oven to bake, you know you have to prime it. So you need to turn the women on. Most men don't do that because they are not sure if their manhood, if their erection will last long. So most men suffer from premature ejaculation. And so most men end up doing just sex. And their partners do not enjoy it. Because the woman is like, hey, what just happened? 2 minutes, you are done. When she's not even into it yet. So if you do more love making, what we recommend is that you do one good long round a day. There's nothing like excess. If you can do that 21 times, I can guarantee you, based on the available research, your risk of prostate cancer reduces, your risk of cardiovascular issues, heart attack, stroke, heart problem reduces.
Now, why I said so they said excess could lead low sperm count or things like that is that is the reason why when you want to go for seminar analysis, they will tell you to shy away from sex for like 5 days so that they can get the normal accurate count and things like that. So how can you say 21 times a day it still produces that? Then why do you need to shy away for some days in order to have the healthy and right quantity?
Excellent. No. That's a good point. But let me demystify that myth. The reason we advise 2 to 3 days of abstinence when you are coming in for SFA, which is seminal fluid analysis. Remember, as two brothers were sitting, we have the factory. The factory is our testicle. But that testicle needs to get the raw materials. So if you have sex in the morning, you have sex in the afternoon, you've depleted your body of the raw material. That's why your first ejaculation is usually more than when you do third round. Third round, you'll barely be struggling and only tiny amount will come out. Why? Because you've used almost all your raw materials. So if you take a break after your first round, you eat, you drink, maybe you and the girl go for a round, you watch football, you watch movie and everything, your body has recovered some of the nutrients used. Your factory is ready to go.
So, right? But then the 3 days, the abstinence, how does it?
That is it. So the study was actually loose that, okay, if Rasheed and his friend has sex on Sunday and you take 2 days off, you would have eaten, you would have recovered, you would have slept well. So you would have given your storage more raw materials. So when you now go for the SFA, if they ask you to masturbate or watch a porn, your body will be able to produce. It will be more difficult if you have sex that same morning. Your body is still going to do it, but it will be tiny amount. And when we look at SFA, seminal fluid analysis, we're looking at some parameters. How much volume do you make? If you make less than 3 mLs, we're not going to be able to analyze it. The cells will be clumped together. So some of them will not be easy to see under microscope. So the reason for that is that we want your body to have all the raw materials to give you a good assessment. Be well rested, you've drank enough water, you've eaten well. So all these things like zinc that we get from water, your body will have it. All your vitamins, your body will have it. But if you're having sex regularly and you go for SFA, you are likely going to make less amount.
So how then do you balance it with the fact that you need to impregnate your wife or a woman, and then you are doing it every day for 21 days like you're talking about, and then the gap that you need to give so that you can be able to have the raw material to impregnate her? How do you balance it?
Excellent question. So in this case, let's prioritize. If the priority is you just got married and hey, you've been married now for 6 months, you are expecting a baby. So the priority is that baby.
Okay.
So if you were a patient in my clinic, one of the things I advise couple is don't let your wife tell you when she's ovulating. Let me say that again. You don't want her to tell you when she's ovulating. You know why? The moment she calls you and say, hey baby, come home, I'm ovulating now, she's turning your body into a machine. You get home, you won't be able to perform. Because the anxiety, everything will be there. That, oh, I must do it because she's ovulating. She only has 24-hour window. No. Find out when she starts her period. If she starts her period today, count 11 days. Day 11, 12, 13, 14. These 4 days are our most fertile days. So yes, Dr. Abassi advocates 21 times a month, but the time you are preparing to get her pregnant, focus on these 4 days.
4 days gap.
4 days gap. 11, day 11 from the day she starts her period, 11, 12, 13, 14. These 4 days, she's going to fertilize. She's going to ovulate. That egg is going to come down. When that egg comes down, the egg is only going to wait around for 24 hours. Guess what? It's waiting for your sperm or my sperm. So if you have had sex on day 10, on day 9, you may have exhausted some of your raw material. So prep your body for that 11, 12, 13, 14. Eat well, sleep well. Even if you're at work, take it lightly, knowing that, hey, these 4 days, I want to be able to perform. And the good news is this, you don't have to have sex without all the 4 days. When you ejaculate, when the woman is wet, your sperm will stay in her body for 3 days. So if you meet with her on day 11 and she's wet, you've deposited day 11, 12, 13, you've covered it. So even if you travel at the end of day 11, she can still have your baby on day 13, pregnant for you. So that's why foreplay is important. What is the opposite? If you have sex with her when she's not wet, your sperm dies.
Wow.
That wetness is what keeps your sperm and my sperm alive.
Are you serious?
Yeah, your sperm and my sperm is a living being. It needs to feed on something for those 3 days that it will stay there.
Wow.
It needs the juice.
Wow. This now, so if I get you correctly,
yes,
in order to put priority sake,
yes,
if it's for prostate health,
yes,
you're doing it every day for 21 days.
Absolutely.
If it's you want to get your wife pregnant, give it the gaps.
Exactly.
So with that gaps you are giving it's not going to affect your prostate.
Absolutely not.
Which is not going to be so.
Because you remember in that study, they also allow men to masturbate. They allow men to do pornography.
Yes.
So if your madam is pregnant or she's having that time of the month where she's not ready for you, hey, you can help yourself to avoid the prostate. But when we're talking about expecting the fruit of the womb, day 11, 12, 13, 14, 4 days
after a period,
4 days are the days that she's most fertile. And for every woman, their sign of ovulation differs. My wife, it could be breast tenderness. Your wife, it could be waist pain. Some women, it could be vaginal discharge. It's different. But that egg, when they ovulate, they can only make 1 or 2 eggs, by the way. That egg is only going to wait for 24 hours. If it doesn't see your sperm, it breaks down and is getting ready to be the next menstrual cycle. So make sure you go to her day 11. Make sure she's well turned on. And when she's wet, boom, do your job. Your semen, your sperm will stay in her body for 3 days.
Wow. Now, someone may be saying, how do I be able to put I can do sex 21 days? How possible is that going to be for you to have sex continuously in a month 21 times?
I can tell you this, and this is not just anecdotal. I can tell you that the research says there are some men who they find themselves in a sexless marriage. And that is also why it can be attributable that we're seeing a lot of cases of enlarged prostate, a lot of all that. But in the men who are in active sex marriage, 21 times is not difficult. The issue I got into trouble with was if your wife is not able to give you the 21 times. And then let me explain it again. Because if you've had any children, the priority is no longer you in the family. Your wife turns her attention to the kids. So obviously, she focuses on them. The mother instinct sets in. You are now number 3 or number 4. So she's not going to give you 21 times. And then I advocated, because it's not fair that how come we're losing men to prostate problem. Then I advocated get a side chick. Let me say that again. Get a side chick. You get a side chick is a contractual agreement. You don't have to disrespect your wife. You don't have to bring the side chick home. If it's contracted, she doesn't even call you. You call her when you need her to make up your 21 times.
Now the challenge is going to.
Yes.
Now, are you a Christian?
I'm a Muslim.
You are a Muslim?
Yes.
Okay, Muslims believe that you can have more wives.
I only have one wife.
You only have one wife?
Yes.
So you have side chicks?
Absolutely.
And your wife is okay with it?
It's an argument. We go back and forth on it because my wife cannot give me 21 times. And I need 21 times.
Who propagated the topic of having one man, one wife?
So it's a foreign thing. Your great-grandparents and my great-grandparents, with African culture, one man, one woman was foreign to us. We were doing polygamy and things were fine until they brought religion and they brought Western civilization to us. The same Western civilization, the society of which I belong to for close to 40 years, they are now the one telling us about same-sex marriage. They're the one telling us about transgender. All these are foreign to Africa. If you go back, and I expect all our listeners to go back and check this, if you have more than one wife, the study shows that you live longer than men with one wife.
Seriously?
Absolutely. That's not Dr. Abassi saying it. That's the research. And so
proven research.
Proven research. So you can now start asking yourself. So biologically, however, I can tell you this. Why is it that women have biological clock and men don't?
Why?
Women have biological clock.
Yes.
She starts her menstrual period at the age of 11 or 12. She can only give birth during that time until she becomes menopausal, 50 and a half. Now we're even seeing some of them younger at the age of late 30s, 40s, getting into menopause. One of the theory behind that is their estrogen dries up. Estrogen is one of the things they need. Estrogen is one of those things that make them wet, that allows them to get pregnant. But for you and I, our testosterone never dries up. If you are 80, you are 90, you're going to continuously make testosterone. So the argument I tell people is because God wants us to remain sexually active. So if my wife is menopausal, she's still going to want to give it to me, but it's not going to be the same like when she was in her 20s. Because now she has lost her estrogen. The body changes. Her vagina dries up because estrogen makes them lubricated. So sex is even going to become more painful to her. So why can't she allow me to have a younger side chick? That's what our grandparents were doing. Our grandparents back then would pick a younger lady that can extend their sexual life. So my grandfather was in his 80s. He still had a young chap, less than 10. But nowadays, we bought into the Western idea and we say one man, one wife. Remember, if you go and look at the theory, the history behind that, that was for economic and property sharing reason. It was for economic and property sharing. These were all brought to us by white people, by Western world. Oh, don't marry more than one woman because you need to, that woman will now divide your properties, whatever your inheritance. So they were coming from pure economic reasons. We did not have that issue. During the days of my great-grandparents, African economy was based on agriculture. Agriculture, the more land you have, the more people you will need to work on it. We were not thinking of to go and bring white people to come and work on our farm. We have to make children. So my grandparents had multiple wives. And that was how we survived. And the family, I grew up in a polygamy home.
So I think it's a mindset that has made people believe that it's just one man, one wife. And then when if you go try to bring in another wife, jealousy comes in, altercation. People believe that when you have more than one wife, the family is not going to be at peace, disturbance, destruction, and all of that. Is it possible? Which one is more happens more? Is it when you have more wives, chaos, destruction, jealousy, envy happens, or when you have one wife, it keeps you much longer? Because you say having more keeps you more. Good.
So let me tell you, polygamy is not for all men. If you know you cannot manage your affairs, if you know you cannot manage two jealous women all both caring for you, then stay in your lane. By the way, in the Western countries now, they're doing what is called polyamorous family. They're doing sister wives. 4 or 5 girls marrying the same man. Only one of them will be legally married, but they will bring somebody else. And it's acceptable. They're in Utah. They're in Washington, D.C. We are not complaining. That is a variant form of polygamy. So if you can manage, then do it. But polygamy is not for all men. Even in the Islamic faith, there are some restrictions. But to be honest with you, let's look at it from physiologic angle. When you met your wife, if you're married, as beautiful as she is, she was not the most beautiful woman you've ever seen. But there's something about her that keeps you glued to her. In physiology, we call it pheromones. Pheromones are like chemicals. She has some pheromones for you, you have some pheromones for her. So you guys clicked. But after being married for 10, 15 years, see finish, don't enter. Those pheromones will start disengaging. You still love her, but you may not find her sexually attractive the way you used to. Then what's going to happen to your testosterone? Must they condemn you to only her? No, then you think about the old bull syndrome. A bull never has sex with a female bull more than once. He jumps. And that's how he keeps himself virile. That's how he keeps himself alive.
Because it's even kind of what you said is true. Because when you marry for the first time, or maybe you want to have sex often, as time goes on, maybe once in 2 weeks, you'll be trying.
That is it.
So now the issue is, how do you convince an average woman in Nigeria to believe that as a man, either she accepts extra wives or she should accept you having side chick?
So to be honest, as two brothers talking, it's a losing battle, because I don't think there's any woman out there that will give you the liberty to say, okay, go and marry another woman. No. But we need to make the argument.
Yes.
Men do not show love by just marriage, and we don't show love by sex. Let me say that again. A man can be having sex with his maid. He's not in love with the maid. We show love by providing, by protecting, by supporting. And that's what your wife does not want another woman to get. She does not want you spending the little naira you make on another woman. She's trying to protect that angle. But we need to make the argument. She wants you to be alive. In order to be alive, we need to avoid prostate. We need to avoid cardiovascular issues. Can she give you 21 times when she's in her 50s?
Maybe you need to look at the camera and for 3 minutes convince the women to accept their man to have a side chick or to have extra wives.
So the issue is this: to my inferior opposite sex, I'm a feminist, whether you believe it or not. But the priority is this: as the head of the family, I'm assuming that most women want the head of the family to live as long as humanly possible. One of the things men are facing, especially black men now, is the issue of prostate problem. And when you localize it to Nigeria, is the issue of cardiovascular problem, high blood pressure, diabetes, heart attack, stroke. These two conditions can be reduced, the risk of which can be reduced significantly if you allow your man to have side chick. The side chick will save the marriage. Number one, it allows the man to get rid of his excess testosterone. It allows the man to reduce his prostate problem like enlargement and prostate cancer. And of course, heart attack and stroke. So I totally understand from the issue of, oh, you're going to spend all the money to that woman and all. No, I advocate to my men, respect your home. What the left hand does, don't let the right hand know. So keep your side chick on the contract. She does not even call you. You call her. And you maintain peace at home.
Now, what should be the contractual agreement for this to actually happen? What do you think should be the contractual way that this can actually go smoothly without issues?
Okay, so there have been literatures where some women will actually bring somebody for you. That is, if you've been able to get to that situation. Remember I said earlier, polygamy is not for everybody. But there are some women out there that actually understand. And some women also know that it's beyond just the sex. But to answer your bigger question, the contractual agreement, so you have a conversation with your wife and you already know how many times you guys are intimate. So 21 is your goal. If your wife is only giving you 7 times a month, so you need 14 times. That 14 times, you have to outsource it. That's where you get the contractual agreement, because you want to do it for that time. And again, if we transfer this to the Western world, they do what they call swinging club. They have swaps, where you and your wife will belong to a swingers club. You go there and you guys swap partners. The Western community is doing that. It's un-African. So yes, there may be some pockets where they do it. We don't do that here. But what we know is, yes, as long as you respect your home, you protect her, you provide for her, you support her, and she feels that, hey, whatever you do on the other side is yours.
What should be the mindset for them to eliminate that jealousy that they see when they see you with someone?
My brother, if you have the solution for that, let me know. Because you know the Yoruba says, meaning there is no even deity that a woman will appreciate to share the home with somebody else.
Yes.
Even we see it among mothers and their first daughters. Just because of the relationship of the first daughter to the father, mothers become jealous. They become territorial. So I don't have the answer for that. And that's why I advise my own male patients, whatever the left hand does, keep it away from the right. The right is your home. Protect your home. But you also need to focus on your health.
Okay, now let me advocate for the women a little bit, because they may be saying, me self.
Yes.
What about me? Me too. I need someone else. Me self. My body knows. So my husband too is not pleasing me. I want someone else. So what should happen in that case? Let's say, because I've seen some women that will say their husband is not giving them as often as they want. Maybe they want it more. Maybe those men are just the type that maybe once a week, in fact, they don't want, they're not interested, they're tired. So what should that woman do? Should the husband also agree her to go outside, or what should she do?
No, excellent question. And this is not joke. Let's be fair.
Yes.
So at our own clinic, Heritage Men's Clinic, we advocate for men to man up, for men to step up. Let me explain that. I find it difficult when a man tells me he's not been able to get his woman to reach orgasm because he has problem with keeping his erection. He suffers from severe premature ejaculation. Or if a man tells me, for the past month, now my wife, they chase me. I don't like that, because you are transferring your role. And all those problems are medical problems that can be solved. We have the solution for it. So we advocate men should check themselves. But before we do that, I always advocate to my female partners, female spouses of my patient, pay attention to your husband. This is the man you married 10 years ago. He wakes up every time with good morning wood. You are not saying it, let him know he needs to see his doctor. Don't let him shy away on that man, because it's the ego that is killing us. So most men do not give it to their women. They do not initiate anymore because they are afraid that their erection will fail. So it's unlike an African man not to be chasing his woman. If he's not chasing, trust me, he has a medical condition that is hiding. That medical condition could be erectile dysfunction, it could be premature ejaculation, it could be loss of libido. So because remember, in Africa, it's still the man that carries majority of the bill. He has to pay school fees. He has to satisfy Oga. He has delivery to do. And he gets stuck in 4 or 5 hours of traffic. He comes home, he's already overwhelmed. So your wife should pay attention. If she starts noticing those things, it's a gentle reminder. Have you gone to see your doctor this month? Have you gone to do your PSA? Because most men who are not chasing their wives are suffering from one of those problems.
So what should the woman do? Should she go out? Should she go outside?
So, okay, that becomes an ethical, moral issue. And I don't want people to say, oh, Dr. Abassi is hypocritical. Let me just explain to you. If you sleep with your maid or I sleep with my maid, there is no emotional connection. But if my wife sleeps with my driver or the gardener, women by nature, when they have sex, they develop emotional connection. So that is where the slippery slope is. So women just don't sleep around. Trust me. Yes, there may be some study that says women cheat more than men. Yes, the jury is out. But most women, they consider sleeping to be the line they don't want to cross. So, but to your point, I've had cases where a woman says, this man has not touched me in 3 years. He's a fantastic husband. He's a good provider, but he has not touched me. And she booked the appointment for the man. And it turns out that the man was having medical issues. So your question is, what should that woman have done? To be honest, in the last decade, we have seen increase in dildo, increase in this machine, vibrators, vibrators, because some women are looking for that option. So women turn to that more than going to another man because of that risk of developing that emotional connection.
But you see, if you say women don't sleep around, the rate at which prostitution is growing now is crazy.
It is, and the part of that, the genesis of that is poverty. You see, we are in a society where a lot of women are more educated than men. They have degrees and there is no job. And yet she hangs with you for one night as a hookup or as whatever, and you give her 20, 30,000 naira. So all she needs to do is get 3, 4 of us in a week. She's able to make more money than she would ordinarily make in other societies, in a job. And so what we are saying, we should not just use that to generalize. We have to be mindful of our society. The poverty rate is extremely high. And some of these girls are from broken homes. And so they are resorting to this as a means of survival.
So why do women cheat in relationship or in marriage?
I don't have an answer for that, honestly. Just like asking me, what do women really want? If I have the answer to that, I'll bottle it and you and I will not be in this business. We'll be chilling. But we also have to be mindful that those 3 things that men do that keeps us as in love, provide, protect, and support. If a woman gets that, our risk of cheating is less. Not that she cannot cheat. Our risk of that is less. But now women are now advocating because they just don't want us to be having sex outside. To them, you having sex or sleeping with another woman means you love them less. And that's a myth. Because you see me sleeping with a girl doesn't mean I love her. Even some men do not even remember the name of the last girl he fucked. He does not, because men do not see sex. It's a physiologic thing for men.
Yeah.
He has to do it. The opportunity presented itself. And most men will do it as a transaction. Just settle her and then you go back home because you know where your bread is being buttered.
So the goal is to get to 21 a
21
month.
times a month.
Now, there's this challenge. You talk about 2-minute men and all of that. And some women will say, what is one of the reasons why maybe they want to go outside, their man is not performing, satisfying them and all of that. Now, what should be the ideal number of time a man should go on a bed? 10 minutes, 20, 30, 1 hour? How should a man go? Some will say, I can go 3 hours. Some will say 30 minutes. Some will say, you are a 2-minute man. What should be the ideal time for a man?
Good. Excellent question. And that's a question, the answer is rooted in physiology. If you marry a woman that you know it takes you 5-10 minutes to get her wrapped up. Remember, she's an oven. You are a microwave. The moment you hear her voice or you see her stripping down, your body is turning. But her body doesn't do that. You still need to prep her. So you have to know how long you need to turn her on. So for example, if your wife needs 10 minutes of your foreplay, if you're a 2-minute man, you are shortchanging her, you are cheating her. Because 2 minutes, you don't release. And if you are like me, you turn over, you are snoring. She's looking at you like, what the hell just happened? So you come into the clinic, we're going to get you to be able to last longer than that 10 minutes. But the bigger part of your question is an average erection that doesn't have problem should last 15 minutes.
15 minutes?
Yes.
Wow.
So that 15 minutes, obviously you use some time in foreplay, you use the time in penetrative sex, and if the stimulation is there, you know, you have your spec. My wife may not be your spec, your wife may not be my spec, but if she's your spec, and then you're going to continue to be turned on. And so you need that because you have to do foreplay. When you do foreplay, it's no longer sex. It's now love making.
So the foreplay plus everything should be the 15 minutes.
Yes.
So what the penetrative sex is alone, how many minutes should it be?
It depends, because if she's not turned on, your erection may lose. If she's turned on, the friction increases how strong you get. And it's all about blood flow. As long as she's your person, your brain sends all the blood flow down here. You stay turgid. But if she's not your type, then you find out that this thing, it becomes a chore. Then even your 15 minutes, 5 minutes, you are done.
Maybe when I was seeing people talk about that, even if it's not your type.
Yes.
In fact, maybe that one will not even make you be able to even do what you want to do.
Absolutely.
But if she's your type and she's really, you are really feeling her.
Yes.
Some will say even 1 minute itself, they are down already.
That is it, and that is where we know that that's a medical condition for you, and we need men to show up and stop hiding under. If you see a woman that is your spec and you say, today, and now she showed up, you called her, she showed up, you have the red one, everything there, and you only last 1 or 2 minutes, she doesn't even need to look at you. You need to be calling and say, hey, let me talk to Heritage Men's Clinic, or let me talk to my GP. Something is not right.
Are you sure it's about that, or about the fact that the man is feeling her? Maybe if he has a different person,
yes,
he can go 20-30 minutes.
Yes.
Maybe but that person, maybe some people will say, this one too sweet. That is the reason why I come fast.
Yeah.
Some will say, these are not too sweet. You did get 30 minutes or 1 hour. So because I've seen online, I will read it. Some people will say, if I jam a woman and I went 1 hour straight, you will see some people be commenting, will say, she knows sweet rich. If she's sweet rich, 2 minutes, you don't drop.
So what they mean, that word sweet and all that is a street language for connection.
Okay.
So if you're connecting with a woman, it's not even, she does not have to be Miss World. You know what I mean? She could just be the type that whether she strokes your ego one way and you are comfortable with her in terms of you guys have been together for some time, she can confide in you, you can confide in her. She's the type that you know that she's not going to bruise your ego. She's not going to say, after all, now so you be. No, you know that she's the type that gets you. Trust me, 1 hour could even be small. And then there are, to your point, there are some people that, hey, this girl, as she fine, so all of a sudden they put themselves into anxious situation. Anxiety will now make them just boom before the woman even open gates. That is a medical condition. Because under normal circumstances, remember, we are the hunters. We should not be the hunted. When you are getting to a situation where you are anxious, she's hunting you. It shouldn't be. You should still be the one that say, today, I will show you, say, now maybe papa. So even though when you are doing that, you are covering your anxiety that this girl is so fine, so fine. The moment you say that, you switch the game. But the moment you are under, oh, wow, she's so beautiful. Oh, I don't even think I belong to this girl class. No, she's not haunting you. And when you are when you're haunted, you just go like this. Before you go, the thing don't go down. So, but remain the man. You should be driven by your testosterone.
But what if you go with one person, 30 minutes, you go with another person 2 minutes? Does that make you have a medical issue?
So the 2 minutes, if it's a one-off, meaning it's just something that happened randomly, it's not a condition yet. Okay. But if you're finding out that, last week it happened, this week it happened again, no, please go in and
what if with one person you go to 2 minutes always, another person you go 30 minutes always?
Avoid that 2-minute person. Avoid that 2-minute person. She's not doing it for you.
That one is too good or something.
No. Trust me. In all reality, if a man engages in good love making, it's one of the best form of exercise. Let me tell you why. Your body is relaxed. Your body releases feel-good hormones called endorphins. These endorphins are anti-inflammation. So all your joints, all those things that was bothering you before, you just see that it disappears. You will sleep like a baby. Your guy will be calling you. You say, you call me? That is a good love making. So if you have two options, a girl gets you to the mountaintop like that, and the other one, before you can say Jack Robinson, the thing don't come. Please, settle her, let her go. You don't need her.
There's this issue, or this people talk about the fact that women, maybe their private part could be so wide, maybe, so that is why it's not satisfactory, or it's not holding you properly to give it that stimulation and all of that. Yeah. So where does that come into play? Someone will say maybe that one is so wide, that's the reason why you have to spend 30 minutes or 1 hour. Why someone will say the other one is so holding you properly that it makes so you could see all those balances.
Yes, see, these are all part of the colloquial things on the streets. In men's health, it's not the size of the dog, it's the size of the fight in the dog. That woman that is so wide, if she can give you position, the position will reduce the size. You will forget your own date of birth. You will not even remember your phone number. The one that is so tight, if she doesn't know how to do it, it will just be like, what am I here for? So it's not really the size. It's what you can do with what God has given you with. And there's no need to compete. You are competing with only yourself. You know the goal while you are with her. For example, if it's your wife, you marry that more than just the bedroom. There are some other qualities she brings to the table. And those qualities are essential. Let me give you an example. Because power failure is going to happen to almost all men. It may be one-off, it may be continuous. It's when it's continuous, you need to see your doctor. So let's assume that you've been doing okay with your wife every time, no power failure. And all of a sudden, power failure occurred. It could be because of something at work. It could be something you are thinking about. The quality of your wife will now show up more than the bedroom. She may just look at you and say, hey, baby, don't worry. This is okay. No, don't worry. Let's just relax, blah, blah, blah. Let's do this. She has saved you your self-esteem. But if you marry the wrong type, then she now look at you and say, after all, now all this, you can't disturb me for blah, blah, blah. Go and fix yourself. She damages you for life. She's still your wife, but now the next time you want to come to her is at the back of your mind. In physiology, we say failure begets failure. You will now be thinking, oh gosh, if that thing happened again. God forbid, if that happens because of anxiety now, it's another problem. Then you're going to be shying away. You'll be shying away from her. And that forces you into abstinence. It's not the one you want. Guess what? You're going to look for it outside. And that could be the thing. It could be the camel. It could be the thing that broke the camel's back. So you don't want that. So you and I, yes, we need this. You know, there are jokes that maybe you and I need a proper church girl. But in the bedroom, we need her to be wild. And because what goes on in your bedroom belongs to you guys. You are not competing. And you guys are always on the same team. You are not opponents. So when you know that, she gets you across and you get her across. And so that's why you want to fix. If you have 2-minute problem, don't shy away from it. Let her know. As a matter of fact, in men's health, we have a higher success rate when couples come in together than when the man comes in alone. Unfortunately, most men want to come in alone. Yes. But when they come in as a couple, there is a higher success rate.
Now, is there this myth that women's this thing used to become too wide? Is it true, or is there a reason why it becomes like that?
No. Okay. So if the woman has given birth, right? Remember, the vagina is a pouch. It's a pouch of muscle. It can relax and contract. And there are different studies out there about how the woman keeps the place hygiene, because it's a place that has its own flora, meaning it has its own natural bacteria. These are not infectious bacteria, and they serve a particular purpose. But if she's also the type that we say she don't get mileage, she's 20-year-old, but she don't get mileage like 40-year-old, that means she has been exposed a lot. But that pouch will not expand based on just penile penetration. You get the expansion from either when she had childbirth, the labor was prolonged. If the childbirth was a baby of diabetes and comes out with big head like my head, the thing will stretch. Some women will develop tears. All that may not have been taken care of. But if it's just penetrative sex, no, the body has a way of healing itself.
Even if you like go for 1,000
at all,
it doesn't go beyond.
The thing don't get meter. So the woman just needs to be hygienically clean. She cleans herself up regularly. She eats well.
It doesn't widen up.
It does no.
No matter how many you go.
Honestly. So
because some people will say that they have met people that initially, like one guy dropped a comment recently that I was reading. He said his girlfriend before that, when he started with her, that she was close, but she went to school. After school, she came back for some years and he tried again, and the place was something else. That he said, no, this was not the size it used to be when I knew it. So what happened? So
before it was bathroom, now it don't become garbage. Okay. So the issue is no, because the woman is not here to defend herself. But the issue is this. I can make an argument for you that that woman, yes, even if she has cheated, she may have cheated with somebody not as blessed as the boyfriend. May have a small manhood, but the woman also, she is aging. When a woman ages and they are getting more primer for childbirth, their hip expands. Their body, in anticipation for what God has created all of us for procreation, will start producing certain protein. That protein will automatically increase the size of that place. Ask yourself now, how does a leper woman give birth to 3 boys and they all look like 4-5 kg when they came out? The hip will expand in anticipation for that thing coming down. So it needs to just have conversation, not just necessarily assume that that woman don't become,
Because if you say this, that means this is more like a license for promiscuity. If you say even if you go 1,000, the place remains the same.
Yes.
Because where do people get the idea when they say virgins are usually difficult to penetrate? Yes, unlike the ones that are already used to it over and over again. So more like you're saying license, go around, it remains the same.
No, but the truth of the matter is this. We have some virgin that on the first day, the man will also be swimming. the only thing about virginity is the breaking of that muscle, that tissue called hymen, Hymen. That is the tissue that is like this in the vagina. And you have to push it, it breaks. Then you actually get a chance to swim in. So some women have even lost their virginity without sex. It may be through exercise. It may be through
a blockage.
There's a blockage. Yes. So some of the women, maybe they do exercise, she's doing anything. That hymen may have broken. And even some virgins that are using vibrator or dildo and they push in, it may have broken without a man ever jumping on them. So when you hear men telling you this, and some men will tell us that in the clinic, and we know that it's a psychological defense. It's like a defense mechanism. And yes, some men may say, I'm not just enjoying this thing because I don't think I can touch down all the way. It's all about having communication. You can have communication with that woman. The way she positions it, you would think you are hitting the wall. And another way she will turn to you like this, you would think you cannot see the end of the road. So it's about communication. Because remember, it's an intimacy section. And you are not competing with anybody but yourself. So have that open communication, and yes, it can be a good love-making experience.
So does that mean it's a license for someone to just go ahead and then be promiscuous? It remains the same?
No, we don't want to say it's a license, because you see, when you are dealing with multiple people, I said earlier that women hardly do that. And that's
does it affect them psychologically?
Yeah, it affects them. So even all the girls doing Olosho now or doing hookup, you see a lot of them have to be doing it under the influence of alcohol. They want to drink, they want to do all that because it's not in their nature. It doesn't mean women don't cheat. But when you see people out there like that, doing it day in, day out, they have to be intoxicated because that is not their true default nature. You know what I mean? And again, it's opposite of men. A man can be having multiple sex. He is not in love with those women. It's just a physiologic release for him. He still goes home. He's not spending all his salary on that woman. No. Yes, if he pays them because of their transaction, he's not going to support them. He's not going to protect them. He protects the one at home because that's the one he's in love with.
Now, there's this issue that people that happens online that most people talk about size. The size matters because you see, one of the things that is being sold out there is buy this enlargement and all of that. Does size matter?
True. So another myth. There is no solution out there to increase your manhood. Let me break it down.
No solution
whatsoever. There's no solution. There is no cream. There is no gel. There is no
agbo whatsoever.
No agbo.
Anything given to you is false.
No, it's false. Let's go down to physiology. If you maintain your body's testosterone, your testosterone is the force. Your body and my body is like a machine. It's like a car. This is the best car God made. We could be both Rolls Royce. If you don't put petrol in the Rolls Royce, it's not going to take you anywhere.
Yes.
If your body loses testosterone, your penis size will start shrinking as if something is taking it inside. Because it's the testosterone that makes you get that erection. So the size will be coming out. Remember, this thing is a muscle. And you need to be inflating the muscle all the time. So it's not, there is no solution out there. There is no oil. There is no perfume. There is no gel. There is no, trust me. It's just waste of money. It's just gimmick. Now to answer your bigger question, that does size matter? Again, it's not the size of the dog. It's the fight inside that dog. If you've ever been to America, when you land in Atlanta, there's always a small dog there, Chihuahua. Immigration uses it and custom. That dog will come to your bag. If you carry a meat, anything, the dog is not going anywhere. No matter where you want to run to, it's going to stand by your bag until custom officer come. Then you'll be like this small dog that looks like cat. But that dog has been trained to smell that meat. And as soon as it comes close to your bag and it smells the meat, it's not going anywhere. There is nothing you do. If you start moving your bag and you go around the car, it's following you. Until that officer comes. That officer will now give the dog small food. It will wag his tail, release you.
Wow.
So it's not the size. It's the fight in that dog that matters. Because that dog has been trained to smell that. So if you train your small manhood, if not big one God give you, if you don't know how to use it, women will run away from you. If it's small one, but you train it, you are not competing with anybody but yourself. After all, we're not going out there and say, take a picture, look, no. The women will appreciate it if you do more love making. There are some men with big manhood and they've not been able to get a woman to orgasm. Not be waste of time with that. So it's not the size. It's what you can do with what God has given you.
Some will say, I've heard some women will say, I prefer it big. I prefer it big. So how can you say, if men and women are randomly saying they prefer it big, that is one of the things that makes men to just feel insecure.
No, that's a good point. Because remember, the women that says they have it big, you also have to look, where is their G-spot? If our G-spot is deeper, if our G-spot is in Oshodi and you are in Yaba, you are not going to make it to Oshodi now. So, yes, she wants something that is long to get to Oshodi. That is the G-spot. But if her G-spot is in Alagomeji and you are in Yaba, she's going to like you because you are not far from it. So, it's all about the position because she wants to get turned on. She wants to reach orgasm.
The G-spot positions are different.
Exactly.
From where they are.
From where they are. A woman with big bum, the G-spot may be hidden and you, if your own is small, you are not getting the unlike leper. You can put leper leg up like this and you get to the G-spot quickly. So it's all about how you can use what God has given you.
Okay, then what should people do that have small manhood?
So we have to talk. This is a topic we learn in medical school. Sexuality is more than just penetrative sex. So if you know that you are not as endowed, use other parts of your body. You can turn your woman on in multiple ways. Do that. You might be able to, you might not be endowed down here, but you might know how to use your tongue very well. You might know how to use your fingers very well. Do all that. Again, you are not competing with anybody. You are not going to go out and say, I see what I did. No, it's about how you please the woman and how she pleases you.
I think what I see here is about getting the right partner. Because
absolutely.
If you didn't have the right person, no matter all these things you're talking about, knowing how to please the person, so women are just unpleasable. No matter how you try to do it, you just cannot please them. They will just tell you, no, I want something else different. So they will end up going outside. So I think it's about knowing the right person. So now, this brings me to this question. So now, religion has made it look like sexual compatibility before marriage is a crime and all of that. So what do you think is the importance of that? Should people be sexually compatible before they go into marriage? Or they should just believe in God on who they are going into?
Okay, so now we're delving into the area of morality and ethics, and I will tell you, whose morality are we defending? Let me give you 2 points of direction.
Okay.
So religion has constraints. And there is an article out there about why if men were wired to be polygamy in nature. And it came from the source that, look, a woman only has 1 day of fertility in a month. That's the 24 hours when she ovulates. Unlike men, we can make sperm every day. One of the increasing causes of divorce now, all over the world, globally, not only in Nigeria, are 2 factors: economic and lack of bedroom action. Again, let me say that again. The leading causes of divorce is money and lack of bedroom performance. So now, if you've ever owned a car, I know you didn't buy the car without test driving. And that's just, you are buying 30 million naira car, 40 million, you have to test drive. Now, is it okay for me to tell you to marry a woman without knowing that you guys are sexually compatible? This is meant to be lifetime contract, lifetime commitment. And it goes on the other side. Let me tell you, one of my best days in my clinic is when a young couple came in. The man came in with his future wife, and the future wife is the one who booked the appointment. And she said, I'm not going to allow you to come and see my father to ask for my hand in marriage if you cannot satisfy me in the bedroom. And so far, you've not been able to satisfy me. Seriously? Absolutely. I was amazed, and I was, so I looked at the guy and I said, look, she's saving you of a lifetime headache. Because the truth of the matter is, we see a lot of young couples, part of their problem is they're not sexually compatible, they're both sexually inexperienced, and we expect them to stay together? No, basically, we are committing them, we are committing them to prison. And so now increasingly you are seeing people, they are quote unquote husband and wife, but they're playing roommates. And that's not the right thing. Because we know, regardless of your religion, sex is a major part. It's very important. So I tell people, yes, it's not about you defining anything. Do we know what our religious leaders are doing? No. Again, it's about you and that person you want to be with. So if you say you are SU, you are a church-going person, and you are dating a young girl, and she wants to test you, are you going to say no? And quote unquote, you said you are in love with her, you want to marry her, and she said, well, yes, I'm ready to marry you next year, but tonight is the test night. What are you going to do?
Some men will say no.
No, they're not ready for marriage. Seriously? Absolutely. And the truth of the matter, we have to face that reality. Honestly, you have only one life to live. So you want to live that life fully. True. And if this woman, you are compatible with her, you are in love with her, you also want to make sure you are sexually compatible. Seriously? So you must test your woman or your man before marriage? Me, I advocate, quote me. You are not going to buy a Mercedes-Benz without test driving. You are not. And Mercedes-Benz is not your most valuable. It's not as valuable as your spouse. Some will say, what if people come with that description, I want to marry, just to test you and run? No. So, okay, that is where we have what is like background. Remember, it's not only having sex with you. You must be ready to have sex with him too. So it's not the only one coming to taste something. You too, you want to have that experience. Okay. Yeah, so first of all, get that out of your mind like, Obama, she chanced me. No. You have to be mindful because this is a lifetime commitment. So that's why you are not competing with anybody. You have to have the mindset, number one, nobody should coerce you, nobody should force you. It has to be your time and choosing. And then you'll be ready, you'll be open to it and say, no. I too, I want to have that experience. Because he's not the only one choosing you. You're also choosing him. So if he thinks he's coming and then, hey, let him do whatever and go. You should actually be happy in hindsight and say, okay, I did not end up with him. Yeah. So that means if you test one person and the person is not your side, test another person, keep testing till you get your own. Because you want to save what is inevitable. You don't want to end up with a lifetime of headache. Because it's the same society that will say, oh, you don't get experience and all that. That will be blaming you and say, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years of marriage, no picking. It's the same societal pressure. So there is nothing you and I do to please them. If you do the other way, exactly, they will still blame you. If you do the other way, they will still blame you. Exactly. So anytime you are faced with the choice of doing the right thing or being happy, please choose happiness. What is right in Lagos may not be right in Abeokuta. What is right in Abeokuta may not be right in Washington, D.C., but what is happy in Lagos is happy everywhere else.
There is no right universally.
There is
no one right universally.
Yes. So
like someone said, there's nothing actually good or bad. It's thinking that makes it so.
Absolutely.
Wow. Now I'm thinking it this way.
Yes.
You mentioned about having ejaculation 21 times.
Yes.
Those that say they are not married and they don't have girlfriends and things like that. What option do you have? Masturbation?
Yeah, so in the study, and it's not what Dr. Abassi said, it's in the study. The study says you can masturbate, you can be watching pornography. They gave you priorities. The best option is sex, is human contact, because we know when you do love making, you have the benefits. But in the absence of that, not necessarily because you are not married. What if you are married and your wife has Japa or you relocated your family? Are you going to remain abstinent until that time? No, then you can do masturbation, you can do pornography. We medically know that those are lesser options. Again, Dr. Abassi still advocate get a contractual agreement.
So it doesn't have effect.
It doesn't have effect. People
talk about masturbation have effect, psychology, this, that, hair. There's different kind of things that they have said about masturbation.
Absolutely. What we don't want is we don't want you to be addicted to masturbation. What that means is that you will not even be turned on even when your wife comes back. The wife that you profess to love, she will not be able to get you to the promised land because your body is addicted to that manual masturbation. But if it's masturbation once in a while to meet up your 21 times, if madam is able to give you 17 and then you do 4 times, there's no, it's not against.
And women too can masturbate.
Absolutely. Because you have to remember, a woman truly enjoys sex. It becomes love making to her when she's able to release, she's able to orgasm. If she's not able to orgasm, most women have reported that they just feel like a dump. And that is where I fault men who have not been able to invest in their body to know that they are no longer 2-minute man or 5-minute, and they turn their sex into love making. You have to be able to invest into love making. Now, foreplay.
What about those men that usually take medication so that they can last long?
So that's a societal problem. So, of course, before you take any medication, consult your doctor. But there are sex enhancement medication there, the likes of blue pill and all that, without mentioning names. You have to remember the genesis of this medication and what are they supposed to do. What they're supposed to do is increase blood flow to the manhood, because erectile dysfunction has been existing before you and I were born, and men have been trying to deal with it. So when Pfizer came up with this blue pill, men run after it. In the whole year, they made over $5 billion. So that tells you it's a global problem. But what does this medication do? It increases blood flow by releasing a chemical called nitric oxide. Why am I giving us this? That nitric oxide, you and I can get it from vegetables. When you consume good vegetables, whether na ugu, whether na spinach, whether you consume decent amount, your body converts these vegetables and releases nitric oxide. So you can get good blood flow from that. Other thing, these men who are rushing to these sex aids, they can also stay away from those sex aids by increasing their physical activity. There is no sex aid in the world that does anything more than increase blood flow. So you and I will increase our blood flow if we start working out. And we're not saying train for the Olympics. All I'm asking for is 15 minutes of work in the morning, 15 minutes of work at night. You're going to wake up that if you do that consistently, you're going to wake up with manhood. And that manhood will translate into that. So that would reduce your dependency on those sex aids. Because you know why? We're also in West Africa. A lot of our men have silent killers, high blood pressure, diabetes, congestive heart failure, and they do not know. And then they go and take this sex aid, and it worsens their problem. Are you with me? But if they do it naturally, they're consuming vegetables, they're going for physical activity, their body starts adjusting, and they will end up in a better, healthier way than taking these things. And that is even better than people who take agbo, who take concussion, that they do not even know the chemical composition.
So Viagra is, people that take Viagra is also okay?
Yes, now, but you take it at the discretion of your doctor.
All those things, does it have side effects?
Oh yes. So a lot of people who take Viagra will tell you they wake up with headache, they have stuffy nose, they have back pain. Because remember, these are medications that increases blood flow. They vasodilate, they open your blood vessel. So some men, the blood vessel in the nose opens too much and they get stuffy. Some men after Viagra, you don't even need to know they've taken Viagra. You see them in the morning, their eyes are red, like they've taken something. It's because increased blood flow when they. So that's why you don't take it by just buying it over the counter. Talk to your doctor and then make sure you know your history before you take those medications.
Because some people talk about the fact that even if they take those medications and they take them for a longer period of time, that maybe it stops working at a point. Why?
Yeah, good. The major chemical in this blue pill are what we call nitric oxide. Nitric oxide, your body and my body have the receptors. So for any medication to work, it must have receptor in your body. If you keep taking it, your receptors will say, oh, I've seen this before. Then they become less and less reactive to it. And that's what happens. So in our own clinic, we don't use those type. We use the latest ones.
So antibiotics, does it affect man's...
Yeah, it depends. It depends. Antibiotics, antihypertensives, because so if you're having cough, the antibiotics I will give you is different from if you have UTI.
Okay.
It's not the same one. So I have to give you antibiotics that I want it to target where the problem is. So if the problem is in your manhood area, it's not going to affect, it's not going to allow you to get the maximum erection because it's going to penetrate where your blood flow are. And if there's the problem there, then you're going to experience some power failure.
Now I want us to discuss, you talk about testing your woman or your man before marriage and all of that. So do you also advise that you should also confirm that your woman can take him before you marry her?
No. This is a good, it's a good, even for our society. And I will tell you why some sectors or some families demand this. Because you have to understand, we live in a reactive society. We're not very proactive. We react to what is happening to us. And so, because they've been seeing increasing couples that are not able to conceive. And so they're looking at it like, no, make sure that this woman can take in and all that. Then we need to take a step or two back and say, how did we get here? Let me give you a little historical perspective. Back in the days of our great-grandparents or our grandparents, our grandmothers were getting married as a teenager.
Yes.
Why? Because that is when they were most fertile. Now, ladies are delaying getting married.
Yes.
And part of that is a reaction to society because it now takes two-income household to raise a family. And because back in those days, women were not allowed to go to school. So the pendulum has swung back. Women are getting educated more. Bravo. I want that. I want my daughter to be educated. But what am I doing? I don't want my daughter to even start talking to any man until she gets her master's. So that means she's already in her late 20s. Women, the moment they start menstrual period, they are exposed to all their fertile eggs. The older they are, before they start becoming sexually active, those eggs have been destroyed.
Wow.
So by the time a woman is in her 30s or mid-30s, she's only left to about 20% of her egg reserves.
Wow.
So, put it this way. If I'm meeting a woman now and she's 34 and she has all my spec, she has masters and everything like that, we need to get going if we're going to have any child. Not that she cannot. They will tell you about some outliers. A woman getting a baby at 45, 50. Those are not common. Those are outliers.
They are not common.
They're not common. Under fertility medicine, we want a woman to come in before 35. By the time a woman turns 35, she's only left with about 20-25% of her egg reserves.
Wow.
So those eggs have been there since she started her menses from 11, 12. And they've been exposed to all the body toxins. So the older they get, the more difficult it is for them. And that is what is driving young men saying, my father said we cannot get married until I know there's something cooking. And that is it. So you cannot blame them. But again, I started by saying we're a society that reacts. We are not proactive. And that is actually what is happening. So we have to ask ourselves, what do we want? Because if you see a young couple that got married at 21, 22, especially those trust babies, if they came from money, and the girl doesn't have to get her master's before she get married, she's not going to have a problem with fertility. But if she's getting married at 34 because she has to get her master's and all that, even by that time, she's marrying you, but you are not the priority. Her profession is the priority. Because they've sent her to all these schools. She's got all those.
She needs to revert back.
Exactly. So by that time, she has even learned to suppress all her own sexual needs to get all those things. And she has delayed a lot of things.
So medical test is not enough.
It's not enough.
So that medical confirmations could confirm that everything is okay, but then there's a problem.
No, there's a problem. We see it. Right now, the best result we get from fertility clinic is about 30-35%. Meaning, by the time you do 10 trials of fertility, it's only 3-4 out of 10 that will succeed. And it's not the same for a young girl, 21, 22, 23. You don't need to take her to fertility clinic. You can easily score.
So that means once you become older, because most people will say, well, like if you come to religious angle of it, they will say, why should you do that test when you can just go to the hospital and confirm you guys fertility? If she's okay and you are okay, then what should be the need of trying to confirm all these things?
They're not facing reality. The reality is, even in the best of hands medically, we can only say, oh, our tubes are open. Now, what time is she ovulating? Let's see if she has any egg reserve. That's all we can do. We cannot go beyond that. That science has its limit. That is all we can do.
So that means with all those things being confirmed present, it is still possible that you could go and she will not score.
Absolutely. And the same thing now we're seeing with men, because also men that delays having childbirth, they also, the older you get, your testosterone is dropping, your sperm count is less. And remember, with the problem in our society, we don't have access to all this water. We're drinking borehole water, we're drinking pure water. None of them have all the fortified vitamins. And men live under this sedentary lifestyle. We're under tremendous amount of stress. We're sleep deprived. All that thing is translating into low sperm count.
So what kind of water should we be drinking?
So I tell people, there's nothing wrong with your bottled water here, but just take a daily vitamin with it. Because for a young man, just like a woman that wants to get pregnant, she should be taking her folic acid. Because the folic acid that she can store in her liver may not be enough when she gets pregnant. And the same way we advise them that, hey, stay away from alcohol if you're trying to get pregnant, because alcohol can affect you. Also, men, you want to drink enough water, but drink it with the vitamins it needs. You need zinc, you need fluoride, you need calcium. All these will help to stimulate your sperm production so you can be motile.
Because you mentioned that bottled water is not good in one of your interviews that I watched. So why did you say so?
Because the bottled water we have in Nigeria only meets the bare minimum. They just want it to be pure.
All of them?
All of them, from A to Z. I've seen it, yes.
No outliers?
No outliers. They did not even put small vitamin inside. Because look at it, the producers of this bottled water are only after one thing. They're businessmen. Profit. And it makes them more profit by meeting the bare minimum. The bare minimum is the water should be pure. So they can as well open a borehole there and start purifying the water and bottle it. But if you now tell them to meet up international standard, or if our government says, no, we need you to have this, because we see increasing men need these vitamins. So supplement your water with this, then it will be a mandatory thing for them to do.
Now, you said tap water is better than borehole water.
Yes.
How? Is it not the same? Is it because tap water, can you also be described as well water?
Yeah, so I use the word tap water as when I was growing up. I grew up in the late 60s, early 70s. These were government water that we drink from the public water.
Yes, that we bring up. It's not boiled there. It's not from the...
No. So that water has been purified and has been fortified. They had zinc in it.
That means they add it manually.
Exactly. Government is part of infrastructure.
Okay, that's what we're talking about. Government providing potable water.
Government needs to provide that. That is one of the basic requirements. If not, you and I will become our own government. Shebi, you are producing your own NEPA. You are producing your own water now. Then you have to be able to put all these vitamins in it.
Manually.
Manually.
Why are those doing bottled water not putting it?
Because it costs them money. Okay. And they are into the business of making maximum profit. And the government says, make it pure. If the government says pure and add fortification to it, then they will do it.
Wow. Okay, I think now I'm seeing the difference. It's
absolutely.
About putting the... telling government putting the right
absolutely
policies in place.
Yes, the government has to say this is part of our priorities. Part of our priorities, we need this, we need that. So
now, based on all you said now regarding fertility and checking in, because some women will say, if you talk about from teenagers, you start having your period from 11, 12, and all of that. So some people will say, if you go and meet them from their young age, 15, 16, you're doing child abuse and all those things. So when then do you think is the right age for a woman to get married? And for a man, at what age should be the right age that you should settle down? So,
and that is going to be a moving target, because nowadays, you know, when our grandparents were alive, it was only one man that needs to provide income.
Yes.
And the family was okay. Nowadays, you need more than two to even keep the family.
Especially in this time of our country.
Exactly. And so you're going to see a young man, 25, 26, 27, who is just doing his NYSC saying, I'm not ready for marriage, because the guy is still struggling to get a job. Then he's going to say, I don't want to live in Ajegule. He wants to be thinking of buying a house in Lekki. How much money, how much salary job does he going to have to be able to get to that level? So trust me, without him doing 419, without him doing Yahoo, add another 10, 15 years, he may not even be close to Lekki. And he's thinking he needs all that to marry. And the reason why he's saying that is because, again, we live in a reactive society. He automatically equates marriage that they will expect us to have children. Now, if we have children, the children must go to daycare. They must go to private school. So you are seeing this generation we have. They are the least marrying generation. Yes. They're not marrying because they're facing tremendous amount of financial pressure. Yes. So to your question, I cannot. If they come from a family of money, hey, early 20s, because they have everything structured for them. Wow. He does not need to go out and look for a job. Grandpa don't provide job. He has money, he has all that. And the grandkids, they already got trust funds. But if you are talking about regular Joe Blow on the street, hey, it's a moving target. Because everybody has different priorities. And our goal is we should be able to do better than our parents. So if my parents are living in Jakonde house, to live better than my parents, that means I have to be thinking of buying a house in Lekki. What kind of job will I get in this Nigeria? So,
does marrying a girl in her teenage years make it child abuse?
Okay, so that's where, again, we need government guidance. In the US, can you believe it that 16 is still a marriageable age?
In US?
In US.
As in
16.
US?
Yes, as in US, yeah. 16.
Every state in US?
Yes. And even if she gets pregnant before that, she can emancipate herself.
Seriously.
So we are residual effects of these colonial masters, and we still have different age range here, and we call different things. You see my point? So we have to be mindful. We have to set back and say, what is our own goal? Again, all this is driven because back in those days, women or girls were not allowed to go to school. They were restricted to the farm, or they were restricted to be at home. Nobody is advocating that now, because we all want an educated workforce. All our children, we know they can equally perform well, but we have to be mindful. So the government has to make that law. And whatever you call a marriageable age in the South or Southwest may be different in the North.
Okay, now people talk about fasting a lot. What do you have to say about fasting and how effective it is, and what are the effects of it?
No, excellent question. So when it comes to fertility, and again, don't take Dr. Abassi for it. This is what the research is abundantly clear on. If you're a young couple, a young lady trying to get pregnant, please avoid fasting. Let me say that again. Avoid fasting. Whether it's religious or cultural, avoid it. Why? Any woman that is expecting to get pregnant is open to ovulate. In order to ovulate, she needs her LH, which is luteinizing hormone, and her follicle stimulating hormone, FSH, both of which will disappear with prolonged fasting. Wow. So please avoid fasting. You can start fasting once you get pregnant, but please, please, please avoid it.
So long you know you want to get pregnant.
So long you know you want to get pregnant, you are married, you are expecting the fruit of the womb, please stay away from fasting.
You know, people have faith and they believe in the religious thing. They say, no, God is in charge of it all.
God gave the scientists the knowledge. The knowledge does not come from anywhere. And science is abundantly clear. Science is irreligious. You want to get pregnant, you need your LH and your FSH, luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone, both of which will disappear from prolonged fasting. So please avoid that.
What about for men?
For men, yes. Remember, some religion organizations predict fasting for men because if you are single, when you fast, you suppress your testosterone. That is the essence of them saying fast when you are single. But now that you are married, stay away from fasting. Eat well, get your woman pregnant, then you can start going to fast. You can do whatever. But if you are trying to get your wife pregnant, avoid prolonged fasting.
Are you serious? People talk about fasting improves your health, and at least for men, it burns fat, things like that, and gives you the energy to even do more.
Which is fantastic. So we have all the concept of intermittent fasting and all that.
Yes.
That has some benefits. But we're talking about couples expecting to get pregnant.
Both man and
woman. Your body needs some proteins. These proteins are what we call sexual binding globulins. They transport your sexual hormones. They disappear when you fast. Again, hear me out. they disappear with fasting. So especially prolonged fasting for women who are expecting to get married, to get pregnant, stay away from fasting. You can start fasting the next month after you know you're pregnant. There's nothing wrong with that. But while you are trying to get pregnant, please stay away. Luteinizing hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, they both get depressed or disappear during fasting.
Is there a point that it becomes too late for a woman to get pregnant?
So, because I'm not God, and we've seen different studies where they may tell you a lady is 49, 50, she got pregnant. The ideal age for a woman to get pregnant is usually between menarche. That is the age where she starts menstrual period and before menopause.
Okay.
The closer to menopause, the more difficult it is to get pregnant.
Wow.
So, the further away from menopause, the easier it is to get pregnant. So, that is the key.
Wow. Okay. So, do you advise women to get married as virgins?
So the issue for that is I advise women to be sexually compatible. If she's a virgin, by definition, that means she doesn't have any sexual experience. Why am I saying that? Again, to be irreligious, because increasingly we're seeing higher number of divorce. And number one and number two reason for divorce is economic and lack of bedroom action. So if she goes into marriage blindly with this guy, quote unquote, she's in love with him, and the guy is not being able to sexually satisfy her, that is fire on the mountain. That is problem down the road.
But they say when you are a virgin, you don't even have experience. So how can you know when you are being satisfied or know the difference between big one, small one, or things like that? Because you are a virgin.
That is for our grandmothers. The young women now are very progressive. The knowledge is on their palm, is in their smartphone. They are now expecting. They are progressive. They know what should be done. They are no longer doing the missionary. They have different ideas. And you and I should applaud them because, yes, there has been some improvement. Whether it's feminism, whether it's education awareness, there has been some improvement. And so you don't want her to do it blindly. Again, we have to ask ourselves, why is number one and number two reason for divorce money and bedroom action?
You're just very advocating people not to be virgins to go before they get into marriage.
No, I'm trying to tell people to think twice and to think of long term, because marriage is not something you want to be repeating. It's supposed to be a long-term commitment.
Our grandparents, majority of them married virgins and they married well. So why can't someone marry a virgin and marry well?
Good. They married well, but they also were open to polygamy. So our grandparents, great-grandparents allowed other people, quote unquote, that we call side chicks now. And so that's why our great-grandparents lived long and they had a wonderful married life because they had options.
Wow. Now, I want us to come out from, because I still have a lot on them, but I think our time. So let me come down to our healthcare system. Okay. Now, what do you think are the major corrupt practices you have been observing in our healthcare system that you think needs to be addressed?
Number one, I'm a strong advocate that currently in Nigeria, we don't have a healthcare system.
Seriously? We don't have a healthcare system?
No, we don't. We're playing patch up. Let me tell you what I mean by we're playing patch up. Prior to the 80s, prior to 1980, Nigeria could be proud of our healthcare system in every level. We had good academicians. We have doctors of reputable standard. These were the doctors that left Nigeria to go and develop Saudi Arabia healthcare system.
Wow.
They left. The first level of Japa was among our professors from our so-called prized universities, medical schools.
Wow.
They left to Saudi Arabia to go and help develop Saudi Arabia healthcare system.
This current Saudi Arabia?
Yes. And those doctors never came back. Saudi Arabia promised them greener pastures. They promised them good retirement package, housing and everything for their family. They never came back. Guess what happened to us? Up till that time, that we're talking 4 decades ago, we have not been able to fill that vacuum. So our academic schools, our notorious good professors left. They created a vacuum. We've not been able to fill that vacuum. What is the result of that? We started producing less and less medical professionals. That's one angle. Number two, our healthcare, when these people left, these were the brainiacs. So they knew when to upgrade. They knew when to change curriculum and everything. We've not changed our curriculum since then. So we're still operating on this late 70s, early 80s curriculum. So our medical institutions are devoid of the right type of equipment and even upgrades to have. Now, let's add salt to the wound. Our doctors now started emigrating. They started following the same footsteps. So lately, our Minister of Health said Nigeria is left with 55,000 doctors for a country of about 200 million.
55,000.
55,000 doctors.
That cannot do anything.
That's not sustainable. So if you take a state like Lagos, Lagos is conservatively 20 million plus. Where are we going to deal with that 55,000? That's a significant amount of shortage. So yes, people complain that, the healthcare, the doctors are on strike, the nurses are on strike and all that is because the healthcare sector has not been prioritized as number one. And again, it starts from the leadership. If the National Assembly said, look, our healthcare, the budget, health is going to be a major priority, then we're going to start seeing changes. Because part of why this is a big passion for me is they were advocating the idea that they should stop doctors who are trained in Nigeria from Japa. And they wanted to enforce that. The issue with that is that's not enforceable, number one. Number two, it's not a sustainable route. You are dealing with the symptoms. Let's deal with the issue, underlying cause. The underlying cause is multi-layered. People think they're just going there for money. Yes, that's part of the problem. But they're also going there for better standards, for professional upliftment. And most importantly, across the board, if you talk to any doctor at Japa, they will tell you, I had to go there for my kids' education, my kids' future. So what are we doing to incentivize them to come back or to mitigate the rate at which they're going? If I use myself as an example, the US government will continue to incentivize me because they see me as a needed part of their society. Here, my local government does not even know I exist.
Can you imagine? Honestly,
so it's not only about salary. We're talking about, look, let's look at the overall system. And we live in a culture where, in the US, I see my nurses as my partner. In Nigeria, doctors don't see the nurses as their partner. They see the nurses as if they're subsidiary, they're lower than them. You cannot run any healthcare facility successfully without good nurses. You need your nurses. And it's not about competition. It has to be collaborative. We know you are the MD, we know they are the RN, but your goal is one, better patient care delivery. And we know the nurses drive it. So that's one obvious thing. Not only that, yes, let me give you a lie. America does not have enough doctors.
Currently.
And it's not new. America has 125 medical schools. We produce only 17,000 doctors a year. And our system that pays for the doctors' training said we need 24,000 every year. Wow. So we're 7,000 short. That 7,000, we fill it up with the Nigerian Japa, all those people. But they're not waiting. They're looking for ways to meet up their 7,000. So what did they do? Back in Obama era, they passed the law that started creating what they call mid-level providers, physician assistants, nurse practitioners. So you elevate your nurses, you elevate your mid-levels. So it's not every patient that I have to see as a doctor. If my physician assistant can see that person and they talk back to me, I just look at it and guide them. If my nurse practitioner can see them, it reduces the burden. We need to do something like that.
Wow.
And again, the government alone cannot do it. Incentivize the society so private investments will come in. If private investments come in, private sector is the driving force. If they come in because of the incentives, then things work better.
What kind of incentive are you talking about?
Fantastic. Nigerian government allowed churches and mosques to be tax exempt.
So are you saying churches and mosques should be taxed?
Wait. No. Let's say you maintain that and you keep them to be tax exempt. Why can't you do that for anybody that opens a clinic or healthcare facility?
Oh, I see.
Every corner you turn, you see church, you see mosque. Why? Because it's a tax haven. So you see that men will rush towards that. Then give it the same thing to people who are investing in healthcare, pharmaceutical or healthcare industry. I use myself as an example. I want to expand. I've been able to secure funding, but they're asking me for 39% interest rate. Where is my government? I cannot do that because I'm not selling kidney. I'm not selling lungs. I'm not selling liver. There's no way in hell any healthcare provider can take a loan for 39%. But if the government steps in and says, no, healthcare is a priority. So anybody that wants to invest in healthcare, we're going to cap your interest at 5%. In exchange, the government will say you must employ 55% of your workforce must be Nigerian. You must be able to see people of low income. You must be able to open clinic in this area in exchange for this. If you don't do that, we're going to take our loan. They do that in developed countries.
If you do that and you bring in, that's going to bring in more doctors. And
Fantastic.
More. So don't you think that's going to attract many unqualified doctors?
No. We're going to have a standard. America pays a lot. Do you think that will attract unqualified doctors? No, they are ready for you. Bring your fake certificate. Before you can be licensed, you're going to go through scrutiny. So the same thing. So if Nigerian government steps in and say, look, health is my priority, and this is going to be my incentive. My incentive is if you come in to open a clinic, if you come in to open a hospital, we're going to cap any bank that gives you loan. Any bank, 5%. We will pay the rest. You do this. In exchange for that, we want to make sure you are a qualified doctor. Which school did you go to? Well, they have a body. For me to renew my license every 2 years, I go through the body. So you do that. That is even the least of it. And then the government has a leverage. You know, it's the case of carrot and stick. We give you this interest rate. I will jump at it. I know a lot of my doctor colleagues who would love to be home. And it will be an engine for small business. I have a small clinic here. I have about 15 employees. Can you imagine if I get the funding to expand? And that is at the back of my government. I'm not saying give me free money. No. Cap my interest rate. As long as I stay in practice, cap my interest rate. The US government does that. And then if you start giving back, let's say I say, okay, my clinic opens Monday through Sunday, but on Wednesdays, I'm going to be seeing people who cannot afford me. The government will say, look, we're going to give you more interest rates. Because now you are giving back. I'm going to hire more people. The government, because these people will pay tax. So that interest that the government is paying for me, they're going to get it back on the back corner because these people are paying tax. But more importantly, it's going to create what is called societal wealth. Let me explain that. If you are a doctor, he's a cardiologist, and they incentivize us. Before you know it, you don't have to go too far before you get to a specialist. So your life will be enhanced. Your quality of life, your longevity will increase. Because as it is now, we're in Ikeja. If I'm having a stroke, there's no stroke center. So societal-wise, we're very poor. But if the government does that incentive, there will be specialists around the corner. And so your government hospitals will be less overwhelmed because there are private specialists around, all because of one governmental action.
Wow. Now, I'm saying, I'm trying to look at it this way. How can government incentivize the private hospitals? Because when we talk about the public hospitals, they are very ill-equipped. Do you think it's a result of government issues, inefficiencies, corruption, or bad habits, or bad policies?
All of the above. All of the above. So there is no country in the world where the government alone can or should shoulder the burden of healthcare.
Okay.
Because what happens is, if the government does, then they force everybody to the same tier. No. You are hardworking, you are a college educated, you have your own money, so you may want a certain level. So what the government needs to do is provide a fallback hospital and then allow the private sector to drive the engine. Private sectors. You incentivize them. So not only on interest rate. Let me tell you another example. Hospitals in America hardly buy equipment. What do? They lease equipment. Yes.
They don't buy it.
They don't buy it because the government has a lease loan guaranteed.
The private or the government?
The government. So all the private hospitals. So if you and I open a hospital now, we apply for the lease loan because we need to buy a CT scan machine. A CT scan machine ordinarily fairly used could cost us $500,000. Why should we put that money down when we can use that money for other things? The government will now step in and say, Dr. Abassi and Dr. So and so, we allow you to lease this for 4 years, for 5 years. The government guarantees the manufacturer that equipment will be under our use for so thing. That allows us to lower our costs for patients. That allows us to open it in Ogun State, to open it in rural areas where people don't have access to those things. That is called creation of societal wealth. We don't have that.
Why are they not doing it?
I keep saying that it seems that our leaders are living in isolation because I think they should just show them what happens in our government hospitals. When you and I go to government hospitals now, we can pretend like we're having headache. We're not going to see any doctor for 10 hours.
Yes.
That is loss of creativity, loss of productivity, and we may die. And those are the things where you see Western government intervening because they look at what is called waiting time. And then they say, this hospital needs expansion here. This hospital. We don't do that here.
So apart from all of this, because of the economy we are in and how most people are struggling and things like that.
Yeah.
So how can you say, what should government do to incentivize people so that even if they are not feeling okay, they can be able to go to the hospital and get either subsidized medical services or free completely?
From what I get from people, I opened my own clinic here in Lagos 5 years ago. And the few sets of patients I get were people who had gone to the government hospital and they could not see a consultant for weeks. That's number one. Number two, even the cost.
Yes.
So you and I may look at it as, 5,000, 10,000 is not enough. In a society where minimum wage at that time was like 18,000. And the 18,000 was not guaranteed. Yes. And there is no job.
Yes.
So it would be it would not be appropriate for us to expect them to walk into any government hospital, and we know that these government hospitals are ill-equipped, they're understaffed, and they also have the fear that maybe if I go there I will catch another disease.
Yeah.
And that can happen because of overcrowding. Again, is lack of adequate infrastructure. The government alone cannot do it. The government needs to put place. The grass is not always greener on the other side.
Yes.
Let's put the water and the oxygen here. This grass too will turn green. Let's incentivize this side.
Now, I want to come to the doctors themselves.
Okay.
Now, do you think the doctors usually give false reports and all of that so that they can keep the patients coming?
So I cannot say no to that. I don't have the full data. But look, what you are alluding to is what is called financial incentive. If they're in a society where poverty is everywhere,
yes.
So yes, it's possible. Where you see somebody keep saying, you get this, you get this, because they see you as a catch cow.
They see you as a catch cow. That is it.
And when that happens, that is also where we need our regulatory agencies to be effective.
How?
So let's say I open a clinic like this. Before I get licensed to open this clinic, they must have done their due diligence. In America, a few years ago, they were suspecting one particular hospital that they had a fake doctor. So they said the FBI to go in as a patient.
Oh.
And they got the data and they realized that this guy was just bluffing, that he's actually a fake doctor. He's in jail now.
Wow.
So, and because it's human, anytime there is financial incentive, human beings are unpredictable. That is not only unique to Nigeria, it's human. So that's where we need regulatory agencies to play their role. They don't have to just be asking for white envelope. No. That doctor, we don't think is real. Then go in, pretend like you're a patient. Then you can contact the Nigerian Medical Dental Association. Is this guy licensed? Which school did you go? Contact the school. You can do all that behind. And then you come back with your table of evidence. Even the society will clap for you.
But the government are not doing it. That is a problem.
But who is the government? We are the government. We are the government. Yes, we know what we expect our government to do. Like I told you, we need them to make the environment investment friendly. So some things can be done. We do not expect them to be the one that will shoulder the whole burden.
What I said they are not doing it is that if an individual, you personally, you're able to note that kind of a corrupt practice with doctors and things like that, you cannot be able to fully report and really get the justice you really deserve in this part of the world. So how can that be done? No,
absolutely. And that's a problem that we all face, because let's say you and I identify a wrong thing going on.
Yes.
Even if we notify the regulatory agency, we will find out that this person is still practicing because they came in, collect their white envelope.
Exactly.
That is also part of the corruption we're talking about.
Exactly.
The change that you and I want begins with us. So we cannot stop complaining about that place. I can give you numerous examples in the US where people see and they keep pointing out. They will continue to make noise that they will even leave the government out of it and go to the media. Once the media exposes everything and the media keeps reporting it, the government is forced to say, look, we don't need your white envelope. Remember, corruption is not only unique to Nigeria, but anywhere there is that financial incentive, there will be that temptation. But we have to keep, because the life you and I are saving may be our own life tomorrow, not necessarily just for somebody else's.
Yes,
we have to.
Now, I read that there are some fertility clinics that have been exposed to secretly using sperm donors without informing couples. Is it actually true?
No. It has happened even in the Western world, because again, it's financially driven rather than just doing the right thing. And that comes from they're under the stress that they want to meet up and advertise that, we delivered these 1,000 babies in our fertility clinic.
Okay,
without,
that's where it's coming from.
That's where it's coming from. So it's financially driven, and so we have to step back again. That's where we need the government and regulatory agencies to step in.
Now, if most medical clinics in this part of the world, they are prioritizing profit over patient's care. So how, because you see someone have accident on the road and they take the person to the hospital, they'll be talking about either dropping money first, or if it's gunshot, they'll say police report and things like that. So why are we prioritizing money than patient's care? So
I've heard about the issue of police report. That's where we need our government. You and I should be speaking up until we get the government to change that. That's a law. Okay. That's the law, because the hospital believes they must follow the law because they want to get somebody accountable. I can tell you for a fact, in the US, they passed the law. They must not even ask you whether you have green card, whether you have visa. If you come to the emergency room, it's a national law. The doctor, the nurses must take care of you first.
Attend to you first.
It did not used to be like that in the US.
Okay.
People fought for it to change it. That's an example. One, in Nigeria today, in Lagos, you are not allowed to advertise your clinic. They said you are advertising medical. That is another law. It's an old British law. So we need to speak up and let our government officials, our so-called representatives, know that these are things that need to change. So the one in the US, they fought for it for decades. And they keep saying, no. You must not ask for money. You must not ask for visa or anything. So if you and I end up in any emergency room in Washington, D.C. now, as black as we may be, even with Trump in the office, it is against the law to ask us for
You must treat the person fully.
You must treat the person first. Money will come later.
Then you now follow the person up for...
That is it. Not only that, the reason the government was able to pass that law is because they know they give grants to every hospital. Even if the grant is only 5%, it's a lot of money. And the government said, if you don't do that, we're going to withdraw our grant. Again, it's the case of the carrot and the stick. Incentivize them. They see the money. No hospital wants to lose that money. That 5% could end up being $100 million. They know what they're doing with it, so they don't want to lose it because they ask you, where's your visa? No, so they will not do that.
So it's the government that will do that?
Yes, it's the government that will do that. The government will step in with the stick and the carrot.
Does it start from local government, state government, or from federal?
I will take anyone that does it, but it's good for it to be a federal law. Federal law means, we're all Nigerians, we should be treated equally under the rules. So if the federal law passes it, good.
What if the doctors refuse to do it? They want money before they make treatment.
No, then that doctor will lose his license. It's like me working in the hospital in DC and somebody walking and I say, oh, no, I need to see more. No, the way the hospitals are even set up, I do not have a right to ask for money. Yes, because I'm not part of the admin. The hospital has a separate admin. I'm in the emergency room. They just bring patients to me and my job is to see the patient because I know I'm going to get paid. So I don't even ask patient for this. They are, the patient has been triaged. The patient is in. That again is structure, where the government knows and the hospital know they have more to lose if they have a doctor like me that wants to act like crazy and say, oh, I need your money because you are black. No. The government will lose. The hospital will lose.
Now, you have seen a video recently by a proctor doctor talking about the poor, inequipped hospitals and the medical centers that we have. What do you think is usually the problem? Do you think it's the government not equipping or doing the right thing, or the individuals themselves just sitting down, laying idle, or the doctors themselves just waiting to just get paid and not putting the effort to make things work?
So it's majorly the lack of government direction. Because I've been to some states in Nigeria where you say this is the emergency room, there is actually no equipment. And then you say, how does this exist? Even you follow the local government, then you talk about the state before you talk about federal. How can this exist? You know what I mean? I can use Lagos as an example. Lagos has 6 healthcare districts. They divided Lagos into primary healthcare districts. There are 6 of them. That's a good thing. That was just formed by Governor Sanwo-Olu a couple of years ago. That is good because that allows them to collect data. That allows them to know which district is the most populated. So that way they know where to direct resources, right? In Washington, D.C., believe it or not, as big as Washington, D.C. is, our population is less than 1 million. We're only 760,000. We have 7 major hospitals. The type that can do heart surgery, do brain surgery the same day. And we complained last year that we don't have enough hospitals. You know why? Because we found out that when you go to the hospital in DC, you wait 3-4 hours before a doctor sees you. We think that's unacceptable. So the voters spoke. The government has just allocated money to build the 8th hospital for less than 1 million. So that's what we need to do. And we were able to do that because we have the data. It's the data that say, hey, you are spending 4 hours, you are spending 5 hours. This is not acceptable. And we threaten the mayor. You're not going to get re-elected because we want to know what the hell you're doing with our tax money. So now Lagos State has divided Lagos State into 6 primary healthcare districts, which is a fantastic idea. That allows you to know how many people are even coming in for primary health care, right? From there, you can get data. How many of these people are coming for high blood pressure? How many are coming for pregnancy? How many are coming for this? How many are... So that way, the government can actually go back to the drawing board and say, in Alimosho area, we need more primary care doctors. In Ikorodu, we need more OB-GYN because over there, it seems that they're having more... It is data. Data is the new gold. So if we can have government that become more proactive rather than reacting, then we...
I think what I see here, it all boils down to the governments. If the governments are not doing the right thing or are not putting the policies in place, people are just literally powerless in what they can be able to do or add influence to it. But I've also heard that IVF and other medical treatments in Nigeria is significantly expensive than other countries. Are the doctors just being greedy, or why is that?
Okay, I beg to disagree on that data because I can tell you, I'm privy to the data that a lot of Nigerians or Africans abroad come home to do fertility because it's actually cheaper here. If you look at the dollar rate exchange and all that. But in general, not only in Nigeria, IVF is labor intensive, it's capital intensive, it requires a lot of special medications. And let me bust your bubble. Nigeria is a pharmaceutical desert. We are medical desert. That means these doctors that run the fertility clinics probably have to import their medications. And at the current exchange rate, somebody's got to pay for it. Exchange rate, as we speak, dollar is over 1,500.
Yes.
And so if they had to be using their naira to bring these medications in, and that is why you see that most people who go for fertility tend to be high-end people. Poor people like you and I cannot afford it.
That is why people need to put the right things in place so that you don't get to this particular stage that will put you in trouble. Now, do you think there's a medical cartel that is controlling the healthcare system? And who is really benefiting from all of this?
To be honest with you, I don't think anybody is benefiting. Even if the so-called cartel exists, when they fall sick, where do they go?
Outside.
And my news to them, if they exist, my news to them is, God forbid they develop stroke. You know why? Because anybody having stroke or stroke-like symptoms should be seen within 30 to 45 minutes. There is nowhere you can get to that has a standard hospital that you can get to within 30 to 45 minutes. So everybody is losing. So that is why there is nowhere like home. Let's develop home. Because what you are developing may be to save your own life. You know what I mean? So if I belong to the cartel, let's say hypothetically I'm a member of the cartel and I'm making money from this healthcare, then I'm losing at the end of the day because stroke can happen to anybody. If I happen to have stroke, where am I going? The money will be useless. That money is not going to serve me. The money will just sit in my bank account. Even if I've exploited the healthcare system enough that I have my own private jet, I cannot get air ambulance to get me into London, to get me into US in less than 45 minutes. It's not possible. So it's in my best interest to enhance what is called societal wealth. Let's develop our local communities because what we are trying to help may be ourselves at the end of the day.
Because I think I heard that, or I read people say maybe the cartel generally, globally, maybe just want to reduce the population of people, especially blacks around the world. So maybe these are the reasons why they don't pay attention or they don't try to put attention to things like this or to medical things. Just people should just be dying. They prefer people to be dying. Do you think this is true?
No, I don't believe so. And to be honest with you, because I live in a capitalist society, the capitalism thrives on power, on people. So the likes of Elon Musk, the likes of Bill Gates, the likes of all these rich people, they want you and I to consume from them. So if they really want us to die, it defeats their purpose, honestly. And nobody has the monopoly of knowledge. So what we need to do is seek the knowledge. These rich people too do not want to die. So let's try to emulate what is it that these societies are doing that is giving them longevity more than our own. You know, average lifespan in the US is about 75, 76.
Yes.
And in Nigeria, it's 55. So we don't need to be Americans. We just need to copy and paste. What is it that they're doing that we can now incorporate
adopt
into.
and start doing.
Yes.
Okay, and now I want us to start rounding off, and I just have some very few questions. So you know, and then I want to bring it back to fertility. So we round it off so that that is where we start from.
Yes.
Now, what do you think if there are young men watching now? What do you today want to ensure that they never? If there are 3 advice you can give to, or 3 things you can say that will help them to ensure they never suffer infertility, what should it be?
So number 1, I want them, whoever is a young person, whatever age you and I ascribe to them, I want them to be educated listeners. Number 1. Number 2, prioritize your health. And in this case, health is wealth. So do not lead a sedentary lifestyle. Don't follow things like, peer pressure. Avoid things like tobacco. Avoid drugs like tramadol. Avoid other strong drugs. So don't fall under that societal pressure. And again, under you prioritizing your health, watch what you put in your body. Do not lead a sedentary lifestyle. Avoid the likes of alcohol or any intoxicants. Be mindful of what you put in your body. And again, you know, you are young now. You are not going to be young forever. So avoid sedentary lifestyle. Every little bit of exercise is like putting money away. That money is for the raining day, and that raining day could be around the corner.
Now, you mentioned about be mindful of what you put in. So
Yes.
what do you think are the worst things that people ingest into their body?
Any intoxicants, anything that makes you and I lose our sense of control, either sense of smell, sense of taste, sense of location. Any of those things is not supposed to be in our body. So it could even be something as small as ogogoro. If you take it and you find out that your head is spinning, please stay away from it. If you inhale it and you find out that you are hallucinating, you are seeing something that is not, please stay away from it. The rule of thumb is don't try. Because some trial, you never come back from it. So stay away from that. There is nothing wrong with you drinking water when you're at a party. Again, you are not competing with anybody.
Apart from intoxicant, what are the worst food that people consume that affect their fertility?
Oh, really? So fertility-wise, we talk about all these food that are like hyperglycemic, things that shoot your sugar up and then drop you down.
Like
white rice, for example. You see how much we eat white rice. If you have the option, go to brown rice. If you have the option of potato compared to white yam, go to your potatoes. And then don't forget your vegetables. All those things will help you because yes, you may not be ready for marriage now. You may be giving yourself 10 years, 15 years. Start laying the foundation now because your body is a self-corrective machine, but you have to give it the raw materials. The raw materials are what you consume.
So what about the foods to avoid majorly?
The food to avoid. I always say, I advocate, do not eat your swallow late. As much as I love swallow, please eat them early in the day. 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2. The reason for that is your body can burn it out. And your priority is don't eat food that takes away blood flow from the rest of your body.
Like
any food you eat and you fall asleep is not good for you. Think about it. If you and I, you invite me for lunch and we go anywhere and I start eating and then 20 minutes later in the car, I'm sleeping. That food is not good for me. It has driven all my blood flow to the stomach and my brain doesn't have the blood flow. That's the only reason the brain makes you fall asleep. So if I'm going to eat the same food, let's say your wife cook it and I think she's a fun, let me eat it in moderation. So any of those food, as much as I love it, is organic, it's pure, it doesn't have all this chemical, let me eat it in moderation and eat it early in the day.
So that means every other, you can still be eating any other food like your noodles, all the processed food, they can still be eaten. Because some people talk about avoid processed foods and things like that.
No, just do everything in moderation. Okay. Trust me, everything in moderation, because if you keep saying you can't eat this, you'll be limited to only 1 or 2 things. But whatever you want to eat it in moderation and know when you eat it.
Now, there's one thing you can change in the healthcare system in Nigeria currently. What will it be?
One thing, it's the environment, it's the investment environment. Nigeria, trust me, Nigeria is such a blessed society. So I want to pretend that, okay, I'm given a blank slate and I just want to make it investment friendly. Because when you make it investment friendly, there is room for competition. Nobody has the monopoly of knowledge. But right now, it's investment hostile. So even foreign people that can bring investment, that can bring other doctors that can think better, they cannot come in because it's not investment friendly.
So that means you're going to make the environment be more investment friendly.
Absolutely.
So when you say investment friendly, what are you insinuating at?
So right now, everybody, if you and I fall sick now, the first thing we're thinking is government hospital.
Yes.
That should not be our first choice.
Private hospitals?
Yes.
Even though they're going to charge you more?
Trust me. And the reason, if you make it investment friendly, it will turn out to be equally as pricey as the government hospital. They're charging you more now because they are tying all down their capital to what they should not be focusing on. But if the government had stepped in, Heritage Men's Clinic is not supposed to be the only men's clinic in Nigeria. If there is investment friendly, there will be other Heritage Men's Clinic that will drive competition up. So you and I, you don't have to travel to come here. You can easily say, oh, there's a men's clinic around the corner. Oh, there's a men's clinic by my mom's house. You have those options. Options like that will force competition to go up. Will deliver better care.
So it's about having options and not really government trying to invest capital into it.
Absolutely. And the way the government will provide the option is make it investment friendly.
I'm still confused.
Think about it. I'm ready to expand.
Yes.
They offer me 5 billion naira, but they're asking me 39% interest.
Bank or who?
Bank.
Okay, banks.
There's no way I'm going to go for that unless I want to be stealing people's kidney. But if the government step in and say, no, this guy qualified for healthcare infrastructure. So if you give him this loan, the government are guaranteeing it for 5%. Not only will I open 2 more clinics, other people will come in because I'm not the only smart doctor around. There are other smart doctors that have ideas in men's health. They will come in and step in. And when they do, you and I as Nigerians, as consumers, will have options. When we have options, it forces prices to go down. Yeah. Now, are there things that you think, like ordinary men that are not people like us, that are not doctors or things like that? Like if you go to hospital generally, are there signs of hospitals that you know they are not good or they are bad or they are corrupt that you should take note of that should make you avoid them? So the driving force is always you want to go to a hospital. In Maryland, DC, we have what is called urgent care. You know how they came into existence? They guarantee that if you walk into our facility, you will see a doctor or a provider within 45 minutes. Run away from any hospital where you have to wait for hours before somebody sees you. Run away. Don't wait until that day of emergency. Take it a day, either Saturday or Friday. Just go. Pretend you are not sick. Just go and look at emergency rooms of hospitals around you and see. If they are packed, you see somebody there with a yellow shirt, you saw him at 9 in the morning, you came back 4, he's still there.
Maybe he's busy and there are not enough hospitals or for others to go. No,
we're giving you the data now. There are doctors, only 55,000 doctors are left in Nigeria. You do the division, we have 36 states. That is less than 2,000 per state. So you already know that all the hospitals are not going to have enough doctors. And so now you are comparing which one is it that, if I go maybe 10 hours, they will see me. Because if I go to the other side, 20 hours, they're not seeing me yet.
What about the doctors? What are the unethical things that you think they do that people should be able to be observant enough to know to avoid?
No, so when the doctor is the one focusing on you paying for this, you have to know that, no, the priority of the doctor should be on you recovering. How do you get better? Again, I don't want to fault them, not that I'm on their side, because I believe strongly that what we're doing to Nigerian doctors who are here is we send them to the battlefront and we tie their hands. You know what I mean? Some of these doctors will complain that they've been working for days and they're not getting paid. And their workload continues to increase. Remember, they're human. They're family people. So that will be a discussion for another day. But we're talking as individuals, as general Nigerians. You don't want a situation where the doctor prioritizes on you buying this. Again, we have to change the environment. If you go into any Nigerian hospital, you have to be the one to buy your plaster. You have to be the one to buy your drip, to buy your own needles. It's not like that in any civilized country. That is where we need the environment to change. And that is one of those things that the government can do silently by incentivizing for investments. Because if private investors come in, one of the things they will do is to beat that. Let me give you an example. When I opened this place, I surveyed around. I realized that if you go and do blood work, it takes 2 days for you to get a result. If you come to my clinic, you get a result in 30 minutes. So if the government incentivizes for private investment, there will be other people there are machines that can give you the result in 10 minutes. So private investors will say, that Dr. Abassi, his own is 30 minutes. Let me beat him.
Yes.
So it turns out to be better for you and I as resident Nigerians. And the government on the back end can make money because these hospitals will hire more people. They'll pay taxes. The government can enforce that. If the government guarantees interest coverage, they can come back to me and say, you must do this, you must do this. It's about negotiation.
People talk about the big pharmas. Who are they and what do they do?
These are pharmaceutical companies that make the medication. As it is in Nigeria, we don't have any one of them. They've run out because they said the dollar is killing them. So, but those are part of the things that the government can step in on a higher level. We're talking, you know, government officials saying, no, we want the likes of these pharmaceuticals to come in. What are we going to give them? We're going to give them tax break, or we're going to give them land to lease to do this. We're going to guarantee this exchange rate for them, because all they're going to buy, their raw materials, they're importing them.
Yes, yes.
And we expect them to trade in naira, but to buy them in dollar. So somebody needs to step in.
So that is that the same corrupt practices go on underneath it.
So Rome was not built in a day. I gave you the example that America used to be like that. Then they start closing that corrupt gap. They start closing it. When you start, then look. Where are the loopholes? Where are the loopholes? Then you start blocking. So it gets better. Johns Hopkins was not built yesterday. It took a while.
And it's true. Okay, what about a few final questions? Should young men start freezing in their sperm to preserve for future fertility? Do you think it's possible, and you think it's advisable?
Good. That's a good question. Let me tell you the other side of the question that we've been debating in the US. That for family control, should men do vasectomy?
Yes.
Right? And the reason for that question is because most medications we use for birth control tends to be on women, and it comes with a side effect. So if you put a woman on birth control, more likely she may gain weight and all that. It became an issue.
Okay.
So if you're married and you've had 2 kids, and you and your wife decides that no more kids, then the option is who should go on birth control. There is birth control for men, quote unquote vasectomy. Should you do it, or should your wife do it? So the same way, the twist of it is what you're asking me, because now we know that women, because they delay getting married and they delay childbirth, so there's the option for them to either freeze their egg. You can do that, but it comes at a price. And you have to have a facility that can guarantee the safety of that egg. And if you are married now, while you are freezing it, who owns the egg? Is it yours, or is it a community product? These are things we're facing in the US. So if you marry your wife now and you freeze your sperm, who owns the sperm? Is the sperm yours, or is it a family product? Because what if you divorce? Does she have access to that sperm? Can she say, oh, you divorced me, but I still want to use your sperm?
So when they're talking about freezing it, does it mean you're going to ejaculate all the sperm and drop it somewhere, or how?
Yeah, so you go like you're presenting seminal fluid analysis.
Yes.
You go, you present, you make your sperm in a cup, you give it to the sperm bank, they look at which one is lively, then they submerge the temperature, they freeze it. So when you are ready, after 5 years, when you say, I don't see the woman where I want to marry you, then you can go. They will thaw the sperm out, and that time, if our egg is available, they will fertilize it.
Put it inside. Yeah. Okay, and that once alone, or you just be going to be donating every now and again and be freezing constantly?
No, you can even be donating to sell. You can be a sperm donor where you're selling. They do that in the US. Yeah. Because you may be a power man, you are, you know, and a lot of college students do it. They donate sperm for money, just like you donate blood. So you can do that.
Wow. Now you talked about people should avoid sedentary lifestyle. Yes. So they should be trekking, running, stop driving, stop sitting in the office, or how?
No, so this is a serious point, and it's a good point for us to, you know, get people's attention on. Ask yourself, when your heart pumps the blood down, what brings the blood back? Because the blood has to come back for the heart to pump it. What brings it back? Is your leg muscles, the calf muscles. And you only activate them when you are walking. So you and I are not designed to swim. We cannot swim like fish. We cannot fly like birds. We're only meant to walk. So let's walk. When you walk, your heart is pumping. When blood is flowing, you have less problem.
So the legs can never get tired of walking?
At all. It's meant to walk. The more you walk like that, the calf muscle is squeezing. That's why you see on long distance airplane, people get up and walk around. Because if you don't walk, blood sits there and it clots. The leg will swell. That's blood clot. It's one of the fastest ways of killing people.
Wow.
So, yes, avoid sedentary lifestyle. That's an advice. I try to keep it. It's an advice for everybody. Walk, walk, walk. When your heart pumps, the blood comes down. Something has to pump the blood back. That's your calf muscles. So keep walking.
Now, how can men improve their mental health?
So you have to remember that you are not in whatever situation alone. Whatever situation you are going through now, I can assure you it's temporary. And tough times don't last. Tough people do. So there has to be a network of men. We are not cohesive enough. Women tend to form groups. Let's do the same thing. Check up on me. Don't mind the fact that I don't return your call the first time. Just check up on me. If you call me the second time, send me a text. Hey, brother, are you okay? See, that community of brothers, the brotherliness, helps us a lot. Checking up on me checking up on you may be the saving grace. And no matter what you are going through now, I can guarantee you, brother, you are not alone.
In this country.
In this country, yes.
Some people want to Japa. That's what they are thinking of every day. Okay, now I just wanted to give you to look at everything we have discussed all so far and just summarize everything together and give your final advice to viewers and everybody. So
men's health is important, and I'm not saying that just because I'm a man. If you look at the family unit, the head of the family is still the man, and so we need to prioritize our health. A lot of the issues we discussed under men's health, whether it be bedroom issues like erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation, or cardiovascular concerns, things that affect us in the society, hypertension, diabetes, prostate issues. These are issues that are global, and we need to shy away from the stigma. So you going to men's health clinic does not make you less of a man. You discussing your bedroom issues with your brother does not make you less of a man. It's about finding solutions, and the solution may be closer than you think. We don't need to hide under the rock.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this time, sir. This is a very wonderful session we have had together. So wonderful. So wonderful. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you. So, guys, you've heard from our very, very, very insightful guest, Dr. Rasheed Abassi, on this very insightful episode. And I believe you've been highly, highly, highly impacted on this. If this impacts you, do it to hit the share button and share it with those who this is going to impact as well. Subscribe to the channel if you're yet subscribed. Like this video. That is one of the best ways that this video could also be shared to many other people. And Doctor, if you have a way you can be able to reach out to you that you may like to share or things like that, maybe you can share.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the CMD for Heritage Men's Clinic, and you can reach our clinic by going to www.heritagemensclinic.ng. We're in Washington, D.C., Lagos, and soon to be in Abuja. We have a new community coming up called Man Up, which is a community where men can actually subscribe to and get questions, medical questions, health questions, and their sexual health up-to-date facts.
How can they get that?
Very soon. Just keep watching our website, www.heritagemensclinic.ng.
So you've heard it. That's major ways that people can be able to reach out to you, right?
Absolutely.
Is there anything you sell, like books or anything? You publish any book yet?
Not yet. We're working on some.
Working on that. So that is it. So thank you so much for once again for this session. So guys, you've heard from him. I remain your host, Benzik. And thanks once again for watching. Thank my guests once again for this insightful episode, sir.
Thank you so much.
And I'm going to see you once again next time. Cheers.